Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. My cells are so arrogant that they will evolve on their own. Chapter 41. The rich second generation was beaten up and stood in place without turning around. The surrounding celebrities also looked at Lee Kunlun's back in shock. Of course, because of Qian Liner's relationship, no one is willing to stand up for this rich second generation. Not to mention the Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce behind Qian Liner. Just because of Wu Zong's strength, no one wants to offend her. Idiot. Qian Liner was so angry that she scolded the rich second generation, picked up her small leather bag, and chased after Lee Kunlun, who was leaving. Celebrities Zhongcheng in the restaurant on the top floor were dumbfounded again. Originally, they didn't quite believe that Qian Liner was chasing Lee Kunlun. Now it seems that the possibility of Qian Liner chasing back is really much greater. Outside the splendid Li Beilai Hotel, Qian Liner, wearing high heels, caught up with Lee Kunlun and grabbed his palm. "You're a person, you can leave as you like, you're too grumpy." Lee Kunlun turned his head and said, "Rapid. If it weren't for the night time, Zhongcheng would be locked down and he couldn't get in or out. I would just grab him and throw him to the hunting area outside the city. Isn't he a bull? A rotten dog can be crushed to death with one hand, I'll let him try it." Qian Liner said, "Okay, don't be angry. In fact, many people in that circle are like this, arrogant, thinking that being rich is great. As everyone knows, this money is worthless in a chaotic world." Lee Kunlun smiled, not as domineering as before. "Li Beilai's top floor restaurant is too high-end, I'm not used to eating it. Let's go, I know that there is a good food stall. I'll take you to eat, and I'm sorry for being late tonight." "You ask me," Qian Liner asked with a half-smile. Lee Kunlun nodded and said, "My dear, I have invited me to this meal." Stopping a taxi, Lee Kunlun took Qian Liner to Dongcheng District. A Yangji food stall located in an ordinary street is the destination of Lee Kunlun's trip. Outside a small facade, there are also tables and chairs, almost full of people inside and out. After Lee Kunlun got out of the car, he took Qian Liner's little hand and walked over. "Sister Yang. Hey, Kunlun is here, do it quickly." A fat woman in an apron who was busy, responded enthusiastically. "Is there still room?" There is a place, and it is specially reserved for you." "Hey, is this your girlfriend? She's so pretty." The first time the fat woman saw Qian Liner, she was really amazed. Qian Liner's cheeks were slightly red, and she was about to explain. Finding that Lee Kunlun did not explain, she snorted softly, and she did not explain to the fat woman. "Come and sit, I didn't expect Kunlun, you finally got enlightened, and you found such a good girl, good luck, good luck." The fat woman led Lee Kunlun and Qian Liner to find an empty table and sit down. "What do you want to eat tonight? Tell Sister Yang, I will give you a 20% discount for such a beautiful girlfriend." Lee Kunlun took out a few napkins from the cardboard box, wiped them on the table, and asked Qian Liner, "How many mouthfuls do you have?" Qian Liner shook her head and said, "You forgot, I'm also a martial artist. I often hunt fierce beasts." Lee Kunlun said to the fat woman, "The beef offal, stir-fried fat sausage, garlic scallops, grilled skewers, etc. Sister Yang, look at more, we can eat it." After cell evolution, Lee Kunlun eats a lot. As for martial artists, their physical energy consumption is not small, and their appetite naturally exceeds that of ordinary people. "Okay, I'll go get ready." Sister Yang immediately went into the store to do it. Some cooked foods are prepared during the day, cut into serving plates, and served on the table. There are also side dishes such as boiled peanuts and boiled edamame, which are also provided free of charge. You can eat while chatting while waiting for the dishes. How about it? The taste is all right. How about the food at the top restaurant at Libelay? Seeing Qian Liner eating beef offal with relish, Lee Kunlun asked with a smile. Qian Liner rolled her eyes at Lee Kunlun, picked up a piece of plump and juicy beef offal and put it into her mouth, saying, "Of course it's delicious, it's not like I haven't eaten food stalls." Food stalls eat not only the taste, but also the atmosphere. Children run around the table. The adults chatted happily. There is also a little girl who plays the guitar, ordering songs from table to table and singing. There is an air of joy, harmony, equality. There is no pretense, no intrigue, no class order. Some are just ordinary, loving, delicious, and simple. There is also an old color TV in Yongki food stall. The TV was playing an interlude of the evening news. A beautiful reporter, standing in front of the half-burned power plant, live-streamed the scene. Hello everyone, it's 8 o'clock in the evening. This is Zhang Cheng's news. I'm reporter Shaolin. I'm reporting for you at the power plant. Just an hour ago, I believe everyone heard the explosion from Nanchang District. That was the explosion of the Huolin power plant in Nanchang District, and a huge fire broke out. The sound broadcast on the TV attracted all the diners who were drinking and eating meat in the food stalls. Their eyes are focused on the TV. Fire-scale power plant exploded. Qian Liner frowned. If it really was the explosion of the fire-scale power plant, the fire that happened would be no trivial matter. Li Kunlun nodded and said, "It's really scary." The beautiful reporter on the TV continued. Zhang Cheng's fire brigade arrived at the fastest speed and started to put out the fire. Henai's fire was too big to be extinguished. Just when everyone was at a loss, a miracle happened. The beauty reporter paused, so anxious that the audience in front of the TV scratched their ears and wanted to know what happened. Say it soon. Hey, at a critical moment, what lawsuit are you selling? This little girl is quite lovely, but she just talks a lot. The picture of the news advanced to a firefighter. Now, let a firefighter who was there at the time describe for us what happened when the miracle happened. The beautiful reporter handed the microphone to the firefighters. The fireman took the microphone, his face dark and rough, but his eyes were clear. He recalled the previous scene, and the expression of excitement, piety, and worship appeared on his face again. Actually, we don't know what happened at the time. We only saw the raging fires surrounding the power plant, all flying into the sky as if they were conscious. Every single flame, not even a tiny bit, flew from the burning wreckage of the power plant, like. The firefighter's eyes lit up and said excitedly, like a flaming phoenix. As soon as these words came out, Zhang Cheng's tens of thousands of viewers sitting in front of the TV all exploded. This is too mysterious, isn't it? Could it be that the flames of the power plant became fine? Miracle, I can't believe it. The firefighter continued. The entire sea of fire broke away from the ruins of the power plant, and after flying high in the sky, it began to shrink and turned into a small sun. Until the end, even that little sun disappeared. A catastrophic fire that endangered Zhang Cheng, just like that, disappeared. The beautiful reporter took the fireman's microphone and said to the camera, "My friends in front of the TV, you also heard the fireman's description. It's not a miracle." She pointed to the huge round can behind her that was burned to black but undamaged. Those are storage bins for storing fire scales, and there are massive fire scales in them. Once the fire spreads to the storage warehouse area, ignite all the nearly 10,000 tons of fire scales stored, and the big explosion caused by that time may be able to flatten the entire Nanchang district. The audience in front of the TV, especially the residents of Nanchang district, all gasped for breath and panicked for a while. It turned out that before they knew it, they came back from a circle around the gate of hell. It's terrifying. Thousands of fire scales explode. How powerful is it? Fortunately, there was no explosion. A miracle happened and all the fire was removed. You said it would be which Wu Zun shot. Shouldn't be. I didn't hear the news that the 5 of the 4 towns and cities took action. How the miracle happened, and who actually helped, became the most talked about topic among Zhang Cheng's people after dinner. The flame temperature of the fire scale can reach 3 or 4,000 degrees, or even higher. And it's such a large sea of fire. Who can take action, remove the entire sea of fire, and then destroy it silently? Qian Liner, who was eating, tightened her eyebrows and fell into contemplation. Zhang Cheng, a famous strong man, flashed in her mind. Wu Zong definitely couldn't do it. The generals are also enough. Only Wu Zun has such a powerful force. Wu Zun of the 4 towns, who in the end shot it. Qian Liner never imagined that the person who really relieved the fire in the power plant was sitting in front of her. Li Kunlun fiddled with screws while watching TV. The beautiful reporter said, "After investigation, there is no problem with the safety measures of the power plant. The last clip of monitoring shows that it is very likely that an employee caused the fire due to an operational error." Operational error. It must be good to be able to master such an important job, work attitude, etc. How can there be operational errors? Some suspect that the employee did it on purpose. But if it is intentional, what is the motive? Is it really so maddening, and want to drag the people of the entire Nanchang district to bury it? After reporting on the catastrophic fire at the Hualien power plant, the news changed to other content and continued to broadcast. Li Kunlun and Qian Liner continued to eat. After drinking enough food, Li Kunlun sent Qian Liner home. The next day, Li Kunlun finally received 2 couriers of his own. The express delivery is a series of trains with the Hualong train from the coastal base city to Zhongcheng. My sister Li Xiaoyu went to Zhongcheng's Thunder Martial Arts Hall in the morning and chose the exercises. Li Kunlun stayed at home and opened the 2 couriers. 2 plastic aquariums. Inside one lies an electric eel. Inside one lies a colorful and gorgeous freckled mantis shrimp. Electric eel and sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp are finally here. Li Kunlun excitedly opened the aquarium and reached out to grab the electric eel. The electric eel immediately began to discharge. The electric eel can output a voltage of 300 to 800 volts and is known as one of the most frightening freshwater animals. However, for Li Kunlun, who has evolved many times and is already a 4th-order life form, the electric eel's electricity of several hundred volts is nothing at all. Ding! The host comes into contact with the electric eel, and the cells evolve to obtain electricity LV3. As the system beep sounded, Li Kunlun felt his limbs, body and body, every cell, rushing through a dense and numbing electric current. The reason why electric eels can generate electricity is because the muscles on both sides of the tail are composed of 6,000 to 10,000 muscle slices regularly arranged, separated by connective tissue, and many nerves leading to the central nervous system. Each muscle sheet is like a small battery, which can only generate a voltage of 150 millivolts, but nearly 10,000 inches small batteries can be connected in series to generate a very high voltage. Now, Li Kunlun's cells have evolved like the muscle slices of an electric eel. Every cell can generate a weak current. These currents are very small, but the current bursting out of 6 trillion cells is terrifying enough. Li Kunlun roughly calculated that he can currently release a supercurrent of 1 billion volts. Such terrifying power is basically similar to lightning in nature. 1 billion volts, tisk tisk, this is much more powerful than the 100,000 volts of the electric mouse in the previous anime. 1 billion volts can compete with the lightning of the natural world. I don't know how it compares with the thunder gun of the Thunder Martial Arts Museum. Unlike Li Kunlun's thunderbolt, the thunder and lightning generated by the Thunder Martial Arts Hall is a guiding method for cultivating the thunder attribute, which converts infuriating energy into the power of thunder and lightning. Li Kunlun is its own cell that directly produces electricity. Not to mention the power, in terms of launch speed, Li Kunlun is definitely faster. Now that you have the power that you can generate yourself, you can better develop more moves. As for the fire control ability, the ability to control the air and the wind, it is also good to use it as an auxiliary ability. Li Kunlun's brain was spinning rapidly, and he was estimating the increase in his own strength and the impact on other abilities after adding this power generation capacity. The biggest impact is probably the ability to control fire. Because Li Kunlun used to use a lighter to create fire. It's different now. Li Kunlun only needs to use electric current to create electric sparks, and then use the power of the air to extract the combustible gas and ignite it. Gases like hydrogen, acetylene, ethylene, ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, etc., can burn. Previously, Li Kunlun's ability to protect the air was still low, and there was no way to separate the gas with less content in the air. Now, for Li Kunlun, whose air defense ability has improved, it is naturally not a problem. Li Kunlun uses an electric spark to ignite a flammable gas to create a flame. And then use the fire control ability to display a variety of powerful moves. In addition, the thunderbolt itself is the most powerful force Li Kunlun can use. You must know that the 6 trillion cells in his body generate electricity, and this alone makes Li Kunlun's strength not a little or two, but a qualitative leap. Different from the warriors who practice thunder attribute exercises, Li Kunlun, who can generate 1 billion volts of current by himself, can be called the god of thunder. This is the path of cell evolution, and it is completely a path to becoming a congenital god. My current strength, I am afraid that I can easily fight with the generals. Li Kunlun thought to himself. The speed of this kind of strength improvement is really too fast. It's like riding a rocket. In a few days, Lee Kunlun has evolved from an ordinary person to an existence comparable to a military commander. First, try to see if the ignition is successful. As for the development of power generation capacity, it still needs to be put back. Lee Kunlun is now at home, naturally not a good place to develop abilities. His eyes were focused on his fingers, and he used the ability to control the air, and his mind pulled out the hydrogen in the air. Immediately afterwards, Lee Kunlun raised a hand, pressing and interlacing his thumb and middle finger. Snapped. I snapped my fingers. Every cell on Lee Kunlun's finger started to generate electricity, bursting with sparks. With a puff, a cluster of light blue flames appeared above Lee Kunlun's fingers, burning quietly. Success! Success! Lee Kunlun showed surprise. The ecstasy in the bottom of my heart can be imagined. Show that his idea works. In the future, it will no longer be limited to lighters to perform moves. Besides, snapping your fingers turns into flames, as handsome as a lighter. Lee Kunlun dissipated the flames and snapped his fingers again. Snapped. A cluster of pale blue flames ignited again. Lee Kunlun used his fire control ability to make this blue flame flutter around him, like a ghost fire, but it was more quiet and gorgeous than the ghost fire. Lee Kunlun grabbed the palm of his hand, and the light blue flames floating around him immediately flew to the palm of his hand. 5 fingers turned, the light blue flame, like a pen, played with Lee Kunlun's fingertips. Fire control. For the current Lee Kunlun, it is too simple. Lee Kunlun doesn't have to worry about burning furniture, curtains, etc. He has now been able to achieve the degree of control that the flame adheres to the surface of the object without burning the object itself, which is simply amazing. After all, Lee Kunlun's fire control ability was greatly improved at the time at the Firescale power plant. The fire control ability of LV4 is so powerful. After Lee Kunlun had played enough, he waved away the light blue flames, and his eyes fell on another aquarium. Sparrow mantis shrimp. The creatures in this aquarium with colorful tails like peacocks are the Godzilla of the shrimp world, the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp. The mystery of evolution is really fascinating. Let me come into contact with the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp. Lee Kunlun reached into the water and slowly grabbed the still motionless sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp. The next moment, the sparrow mantis shrimp moved. Its front claws popped out in an instant and slammed against Lee Kunlun's fingers. That kind of force, with a speed of more than 80 km per hour and an acceleration of more than a 5.588 mm caliber pistol bullet, can generate an impact force of up to 60 kg, and the high temperature caused by friction can even cause the surrounding water to emit electric sparks. If it were an ordinary person, the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp could make the opponent's fingers bleed. However, for Lee Kunlun, whose body speed is constantly improving and cell strength is constantly evolving, the sparrow mantis shrimp can easily break the front claws of the shell without causing any harm at all. Not even a tickling. Lee Kunlun grabbed the sparrow mantis shrimp. After a while, the system prompt sounds. Ding! The host comes into contact with the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp, the cells evolve, and they acquire the ability Sonic Fist, Super Vision, and Super Defense. In an instant, Lee Kunlun's mind quickly flashed images of single-celled organisms, evolving into multicellular organisms, and evolving into seagrass, fish, amphibians, and more. Lee Kunlun opened his eyes again, only to feel that the world has become more colorful and more splendid. To be honest, it is like looking at the world as if I were looking at black and white photos. The present self and the world you see are the real, color. Not only that, the explosive power of Lee Kunlun's arm is even stronger. Physical fitness, once again, has a not small improvement. Lee Kunlun took a deep breath. If we say the mantis shrimp, it is the Godzilla of the shrimp world. So, now he is Godzilla among humans. Ding! Congratulations to the host. The degree of cell evolution has reached the 5th stage of life level, becoming a 5th-order life form. With a thought, Lee Kunlun checked his attribute panel. Lee Kunlun. Race. Human. Gender. Male. Talent. Cell evolution. Life level. Level 5. Abilities. Sonic Fist. Super Vision. Super Defense. Cell immortality. Power generation LV4. Fire resistance LV4. Fire control LV4. Air control LV3. Wind control LV3. Regeneration LV2. Night vision. Heat sensing ability. A 1000-fold increase in strength. a 100-fold increase in speed, a 1,000-fold increase in defense, a strong sense of smell. Seeing his litany of abilities, Lee Kunlun feels like he's almost like Superman now. Completely extraordinary power, 5th order life form. General, I want to challenge Wu Zun. Lee Kunlun raised his hand and clenched his fist. Looking at his own fist, his heart burst out with boundless faith and courage. He is eager to try now, and has an urge to try it. How strong he has become. Tomorrow I will go to the hunting area. Lee Kunlun turned his head to look at the hunting area outside the base city's defensive fortress. There, fierce beasts are everywhere. Human forbidden zone. Right now, Lee Kunlun has a fish tank. Put gravel in it, fill it with water, and pour the sparrow mantis shrimp and electric eel into the fish tank. After all, it was bought for hundreds of thousands, and it would be a pity to eat it. I don't know if the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp and the electric eel will fight. Lee Kunlun first poured the mantis shrimp into the fish tank, and then poured the electric eel into the fish tank. Puff! After the electric eel entered the fish tank, it swam a few laps to get familiar with the environment. Soon, the electric eel spotted the sparrow mantis shrimp curled up in the corner of the rubble at the bottom of the tank. The electric eel is naturally not in the recipe of the sparrow mantis shrimp, but there are small fish, shrimp, crabs and other animals in the recipe of the electric eel. The freckled mantis shrimp is colorful, and although I haven't eaten it, the electric eel has been hungry for a day or two and doesn't mind developing a new recipe. Lee Kunlun bent down and squatted down, staring at the fish tank with relish. At this moment, the sound of the door opening came from outside. Li Xiaoyu, the younger sister who studied from the Thunder Martial Arts Academy, returned home. When she saw the big brother's posture like a squatting hole, she smiled, put down her backpack and keys, and came over and asked, "Brother, what are you doing?" Lee Kunlun made a shish gesture and beckoned to his sister. "Come and see. Brother, did you buy a pet?" The younger sister lowered her voice, and moved to the front of the fish tank with her big brother. The electric eel swam quietly, approaching the motionless sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp crawling on the gravel. When it was close at hand, the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp suddenly moved. The strong and hard front claws popped out violently, like a bullet popping out of the chamber, and the surrounding water flow caused an empty drum to form a huge air bubble. At the same time, the front claws of the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp also slammed into the electric eel's head. Electric eels generally swam violently and flinch away from the sparrow mantis shrimp when they are electrocuted. A streak of blood spread from the electric eel's head. The sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp was also stunned to death by the electric current released by the electric eel. "Big brother, what kind of animal is this? It's amazing." Li Xiaoyu looked at her big brother curiously and asked in surprise. "It's amazing." Even though Li Xiaoyu is now an official martial artist, with the speed of punching of the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp, she couldn't see it clearly, and only saw the afterimage of the front claws popping out. In fact, before the bubbles appeared, the front claws of the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp had already hit the electric eel's head heavily. Then, due to the huge force, the empty blisters moved forward and then burst. Lee Kunlun replied with a smile, "Sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp." Sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp. Li Xiaoyu took a deep breath and revealed a shocked and side look. A small shrimp can burst out so fast. If someone punches me at this speed, I will react. Look, sister. Lee Kunlun spread a hand. On the palm of the hand lies a cute little bunny hairpin. Ah, Li Xiaoyu was talking when she saw Lee Kunlun take out a white rabbit hairpin like a magic trick in his hand. She screamed and subconsciously raised her hand and touched her head. I found that the bunny hairpin in my hair had disappeared. When did my hair card fall out? No, I remember wearing this little rabbit hairpin when I went out today. Could it be? Li Xiaoyu opened her round cherry mouth and looked at Lee Kunlun. Lee Kunlun nodded and said, "Yes, I just took it off your head." "How is this possible?" Li Xiaoyu opened his mouth and was a little speechless. Lee Kunlun was right in front of her just now. Unless the speed of the shot is so fast that it is invisible to the naked eye. Otherwise, how to get the little white rabbit hairpin on top of her head? How fast is this? Is it the speed of a bullet? Lee Kunlun smiled slightly. After he came into contact with the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp, the cells evolved and acquired the sonic fist. The speed at which Li Kunlun can burst out has already surpassed the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp. Big brother, how did you do it just now? The sister asked dumbly. Li Kunlun pretended to be mysterious and said, it's nothing, just practice more. Really? Of course, the reason why your big brother is so strong now is because he does push-ups every day. Li Kunlun replied seriously. Li Xiaoyu gave a, and nodded heavily, believing it to be true. Later, Li Xiaoyu became a cultivator, more or less, was fooled by Li Kunlun. By the way, did you go to the Thunder Martial Arts Hall today and learn the Thunder 100 Furnace skills? Li Kunlun asked. How can you? Leiwang 100 Furnace Gong is an S-level practice created by Emperor Wu Leihong. I just entered the museum, how can I learn it? What I'm learning today is AC level exercise technique, wind and thunder breathing technique. Li Kunlun nodded. It is not bad to be able to learn sea-level exercises as soon as you enter the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. Sea-level martial arts that are casually scattered outside are also profound martial arts that will break the competition. Not every official martial artist can learn it. The resources of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall, you make good use of it and keep practicing. When you reach the realm of a military general, I believe Leihong will also pass on your S-level martial arts skills. Can I reach the realm of military commanders? Li Xiaoyu murmured. Those who have the will, things will come true. What is the realm of military commanders? My sister, she will become a peerless master of Emperor Wu in the future. Li Xiaoyu smiled and said, it's still the big brother who will comfort me. However, after I joined the Thunder Martial Arts Academy today, I found out that Zhang Cheng has too many talents. I'm in the Thunder Martial Arts Hall, and I'm not at all inconspicuous. Believe in yourself. How far you can go in the martial arts does not depend only on qualifications. Li Kunlun put her palm on her sister's head and rubbed it slightly, messing up her hair. After being comforted by Li Kunlun, Li Xiaoyu became strong again. Sister, you should practice in the Thunder Martial Arts Hall first. I will go to the hunting area tomorrow and start hunting beasts. What? Li Xiaoyu exclaimed. Big brother, you are going to the hunting area. Yeah, I'm going to the hunting area to hunt beasts. No, big brother, it's too dangerous for you to go alone. I'm going too. Li Xiaoyu refused Li Kunlun to go to the hunting area alone. Silly girl, did you forget the strength of your big brother when you were in the murderer town? Besides, if you go, it will only drag me back. When you are stronger, go to the hunting area with your big brother. Li Kunlun persuaded his sister with a Versailles-style consolation method. Li Xiaoyu rolled her eyes, stimulated by her big brother. But thinking of Li Kunlun's strength, Li Xiaoyu felt relieved. After all, the hunting area and the beast town are two different things, full of unknowns. There are ultra-high voltage power grids around the beast town, and there is a military crackdown. There are basically only low-level beasts in the town, and there are few variables. Unlike the hunting area, there are low-level vicious beasts, intermediate-level vicious beasts, and high-level vicious beasts, and I don't know how many. In terms of number, there are more beasts in the hunting area than in the beast town. This is why Li Xiaoyu is worried about Li Kunlun. That's right, big brother. I'll teach you the wind and thunder breathing technique. Li Xiaoyu said. She cares and is confused, forgetting that Li Kunlun has no talent for martial arts. After all, the wind and thunder breathing technique is also AC level martial arts. This is also the first time Li Xiaoyu, who was born in ordinary people, came into contact with sea-level martial arts. Silly sister, I can't cultivate. Besides, I don't need it either. Li Kunlun said with a smile. He really doesn't need it because his own cells are able to fire. Whether it's the wind and thunder breathing technique, or the more advanced Thunder Wilderness 100 Furnace technique, isn't it just converting the infuriating energy in the body into thunder and lightning? Li Kunlun doesn't need it at all 60 trillion cells in the body can generate electricity. He's like a natural Thor. Today, Li Kunlun had a day off at home. When we went down, Li Kunlun went to the Warrior Association to get the bronze medal. Until the next morning, the sun rises in the east. The sun leapt over the horizon, dispelling the haze of the ruined city in the hunting district. The golden sun shines brightly on the steel barriers of Zhongcheng Base City. The gate to the hunting area has been opened. The warrior teams who were preparing to leave the city began to form a long line at the city gate and exit the city in an orderly manner. Lee Kunlun, dressed in casual clothes, with a bronze medal on his jacket, and a tactical backpack, appeared in the team. Most of the warriors who came out of the city were in hunting teams and went to the hunting area. Few warriors act alone, and most of them have modified armored vehicles and even exoskeleton armors. Unlike Lee Kunlun, who doesn't even have a means of transportation by himself, being in the queue to get out of the city is really unusual. Dude, are you going out of the city too? Let's go together. A modified pickup truck parked behind Lee Kunlun. The warrior driver stuck out his bald head, slapped the heavy and hard-armored pickup truck with his palm, and shouted to Lee Kunlun. Lee Kunlun looked back and found that the warrior driver had a black scorpion tattooed on his bald head, and shook his head, no need. The co-pilot warrior glanced at the bronze medal on Lee Kunlun's chest and said with a smile, "This is your first time to the hunting area. Look at us, everyone is wearing combat uniforms, so you will go to the hunting area in casual clothes to deliver food to the beasts. I don't have any experience. I don't know how to pass the official martial artist exam." Lee Kunlun was too lazy to pay attention to them. The bald-headed scorpion-tattooed martial artist said loudly, "Boy, since you are a newcomer, I will give you a chance to join the famous black scorpion hunting team. Follow us, as long as we have meat to eat, you will definitely have soup to drink." Lee Kunlun still did not speak. "Hey, don't know how to lift? It's ridiculous. If you want strength without strength, or equipment without equipment, our black scorpion hunting team will not hesitate to accept you. Just like you, don't talk about us, other hunting teams will not want you." Lee Kunlun still ignored them. The warrior driver of the black scorpion hunting team knew that it was boring and stopped talking. At this time, there was quite a stir from behind the team. "It's Martian Manhunter, the star hunting team. The star hunting team is here. Oh my god, they are so handsome, this equipment, this lineup." Envy, the Captain Jupiter Hunter is a military general, and the other 4 vice captains are all Wuzong. As expected of the famous Zhang Cheng's hunting team, it's too strong. I saw 3 armored pickups, 1 armored vehicle, and 2 exoskeleton armors, driving from the rear. On the 3 armored pickups, without exception, all set up Vulcan Gatling. Under the dark barrel of the gun, there are long golden bullet chains. Whether it's an armored pickup, an armored vehicle, or an exoskeleton armor, all of them are painted with the Star's logo. It is the Star hunting team. The warrior driver of the Black Scorpion hunting team turned his head to look at the rear mirror. Through the large rear mirror of the armored pickup truck, I saw the lineup of the Star hunting team. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said enviously, "If I can join the Star hunting team, I can live 5 years less." The co-pilot martial artist laughed. "Come on, don't look for a mirror to look at yourself. The Star hunting team only recruits elites. Even the warriors are the most outstanding. Are you worthy?" At this time, an armored vehicle of the Star hunting team drove over. The nearby hunting team also caused quite a commotion. The bulletproof glass rolled down, and Martian hunter Sun Junyu stuck his head out, put his arm on the door of the car, and asked, "What a coincidence, are you out hunting today?" Lee Kunlun, who was queuing quietly, turned his head and glanced at Sun Junyu, nodded and said, "I got the bronze medal, I'm going out of the city to have a look, hunt down some beasts, and subsidize the family." Poor. Lee Kunlun is really poor. As the old saying goes, Lee Kunlun is so poor that he can't even get a penny out of his trouser pocket. Sun Junyu's eyes lit up, and he invited him, "Since that's the case, why don't you take a ride and come with us?" Lee Kunlun hesitated for a moment, smiled politely, and declined, "No, I'll just walk around the base city." Okay then. Sun Junyu was a little disappointed, and drove the armored vehicle back to the Star hunting team. Just now, the bald warrior of the Black Scorpion hunting team was completely dumbfounded. "That's Martian Manhunter, the second in command of the Star hunting team. Was rejected. Who the hell is Lee Kunlun who turned down the invitation of the Star hunting team?" The bald warrior and the co-pilot warrior were stunned and looked at each other. No wonder the other party rejected him and did not join the Black Scorpion hunting team. Even the Star hunting team, which was 10 times stronger than the Black Scorpion hunting team, was turned away. The bald-headed scorpion man's face was hot, and he could not wait to find a seam to get into. It's a pity that they mocked Li Kunlun just now if he didn't have equipment, or he had no strength and no strength. If it is really 3 no products, how can it win the favor of Martian hunters, and even want to pull him into the star hunting team? They also taunted just now, saying that Li Kunlun had no hunting party. Now, slap in the face. The bald-headed scorpion man felt that his face was hot, and immediately drove the car away and went to the other lane to line up. Out of the city is still very fast. If you are entering the city, it will be much slower. Because of the need for cumbersome and complex checks, Li Kunlun followed the other teams and kept going. There are a lot of roadblocks along the way out of the city and into the city. Soldiers of the army stood around. Vehicles pass one by one. When passing the checkpoint, Li Kunlun verified his identity and entered the inside of the steel fortress. After all, you have to pass through this tall and fortified steel fortress to get outside. After Li Kunlun entered the tunnel, he looked around. A large number of automatic machine guns are installed on the 4 walls of the steel tunnel. To prevent the outbreak of the beast tide, many fierce beasts poured into the city through the tunnel. Therefore, the firepower arrangement in the tunnel is also quite dense. Following the armored vehicles of other hunting teams, they ran for a while and finally left the dimly lit steel tunnel. The light from the outside came suddenly, making everyone's eyes narrow. When I opened it again, I was greeted by the surging and magnificent river, and the ruins of the city opposite the bridge across the river. This human survival base, named Zhongcheng, is naturally because of Linzhong. And this river has some origins. Originally, there were no rivers flowing through this city. The city ruins on the other side of the river belonged to the other half of Zhongcheng. It was also a place where many people lived. It is said that after the Great Destruction, a beast tide led by monarch-level beasts directly captured the other half of Zhongcheng's urban area. Caused a great disaster to come, life was devastated, and too many people died. Countless people have been reduced to the remnants of the beast's mouth. Li Kunlun, who was out of the city, clenched his fists and opened his eyes. A large number of battle marks in the ruins of the city still remain to this day. It is said that the original monarch-level beast, the 8-armed Tyrannosaurus of evil flames, had a battle with the human titled Wawang Wangchuan Sword Saint. The flames spewed out by the 8-armed Tyrannosaurus of evil flames melted high-rise buildings, and the reinforced concrete melted under the terrifying high-temperature flames. But the Sword Saint of Wangchuan slashed the earth with one sword and cut out a new tributary, which is still flowing to this day. This is the origin of Zhongcheng. This is the power of a monarch-level beast and a martial king-level unparalleled powerhouse. It has already surpassed human power, and it is almost unimaginable. Except for the strongest nuclear weapons of mankind, what else can have such terrifying destructive power? I didn't even dare to think about the realm of a military commander before, but now, hey. Li Kunlun clenched his fists and could clearly perceive the almost infinite power contained in his limbs, bones, and 60 trillion cells. This force burst out, and even Li Kunlun was not sure how strong it was. General, or Wu Zun. Now, with the system in place, Li Kunlun's goal is no longer a general. Even King Wu would not be Li Kunlun's limit. Li Kunlun wants to be a god. To be precise, it is an invincible life form comparable to the existence of the god of war. Driving across the river crossing bridge is the ruined urban area of Zhongcheng Base City, which is also a hunting area. This place belongs to the transition zone. Like a hunting team with strong strength, they will not hunt in the transition zone. They're going to the outskirts of no man's land. The previous bridge across the river was built after the monarch-level beast tide broke out and the Sword Saint of Wangchuan split the river. Taking into account the need to resist beasts, the bridge across the river can be raised and lowered freely, which can effectively prevent the tide of beasts from crossing the river. After the armored pickup truck exited the bridge across the river, the speed increased a lot. Li Kunlun is still a large force with many warriors. Along the way, the broken walls and ruins of the city's ruins are full of eyes. I heard that the war was too fierce, and the embers were like black snow, scattered in the ruins of the city. Much better now, no more black snow falling. Collapsed concrete, bent rebar. There are also weeds that grow wildly everywhere, and low-level beasts hiding in the ruins, grinning at the armored vehicles passing by outside. Roar! A rotting dog with only red muscles left, whose fur had rotted away, bit him. One of the members of the hunting team sitting in the armored pickup truck pulled out 2 shotguns and fired in succession. A few, bang bang bang, sounds. The low-level vicious beast rotted the dog. The dog's head was like a watermelon, and it fell to the ground. If an armored vehicle drove past, it would directly crush the rotting dog's body into flesh and blood. The leader of the hunting team, using a wireless communication tool, said to the shooting team member, "Don't shoot. Killing a low-level vicious beast, or a rotten dog of low value, is a waste of bullets. When you see a rotten dog, just throw it away. And if you shoot, it's easy to attract more beasts." "Clear," the warrior team member responded, as if the sound of a shot just now attracted the rotting dogs hidden in the ruins nearby. 7 or 8 adult rotten dogs emerged from the high and low ruins and looked at the armored pickup trucks that were driving by quickly. Roar! Deep in the rotten dog's throat, he let out a low growl like a beast, and immediately opened his legs to catch up. In the face of an armored pickup truck that is larger than an ordinary car and weighs about the same as a tank, these rotting dogs on the ground hit the armored pickup truck and cause no damage at all. Only the rotting dog on the higher ruins, jumping down, can pounce on the armored pickup truck. Like Lee Kunlun without an armored vehicle, he is like a piece of fat exposed to many rotten dogs. Roar! Ho ho ho! A rotting dog as large and strong as a calf stared at Lee Kunlun, who was walking alone in the ruins of the city. They are starting to get excited. Roll! Lee Kunlun walked forward with no expression on his face, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and killing intent erupted. Deterrence. Hunting instinct. A strong shadow of death enveloped the rotten dog's heart. Ouch! The rotten dog that was fierce and grinning 1 second ago, grabbed its tail the next second, whimpered and ran away. These rotten dogs, like a fallen tree, disappeared in front of Lee Kunlun's eyes at the fastest speed. The low-level vicious beast that once became the nightmare of a trainee martial artist can't get into Lee Kunlun's eyes at all now. Lee Kunlun's goal is very simple. It is an elite-level beast, or even, the soul crystal of a commander-level beast. According to the information seen on the Warrior Forum, a soul crystal of a commander and a beast can be sold for hundreds of millions of Yan national coins. As long as he hunts a commander-level beast, Lee Kunlun will get rid of poverty and become rich. Of course, compared to the large number of low-level beasts, there are many fewer command-level beasts. Every commander-level beast will have a large area. On the territory, there will be elite-level beasts, high-level beasts, intermediate-level beasts, and low-level beasts under its command. And most of the commander-level beasts only exist in no man's land. That is a hunting team composed of warriors, an area that is rarely touched. You must know that, like the star hunting team, with 4 martial sects and 1 military general, they would not dare to hunt down commander-level beasts. As far as they hunted the commander-level beasts, it was definitely an egg hitting a stone and shattering their bones. Kill the elite-level beasts first, then kill the commander-level beasts. Lee Kunlun ran wildly along the street, moving like a sly rabbit, rushing out like a bolt of lightning. He was about to rush out of the hunting area. No man's land has a higher chance of encountering elite-level beasts, or even command-level beasts. There is a highway out of Zhongcheng hunting area. The Great Destruction has passed, and after so many years, the highway must have been deserted. But for Lee Kunlun, it just works. After Lee Kunlun ran at high speed, he wanted to explode faster. Using the cells in my body to burst out lightning, I don't know if I can make my speed faster on the basis of the current one. Lee Kunlun ran, his mind racing. He used 10 times the speed increase. Now the speed has broken the previous record, sprinting to 1,000 kilometers per hour, far exceeding the Fire Dragon train. On the abandoned highway, Lee Kunlun is like a fast rainbow, traversing across. The naked eye can't keep up with this speed. However, Lee Kunlun has yet to push the limits. His body is already strong enough to withstand faster speeds. Thunder burst. Lee Kunlun's thoughts moved, and the 6 trillion cells in his body burst out with tiny thunder and lightning. These thunderbolts passed through the surface of Lee Kunlun, and the skin instantly flashed golden electric lights. Whoa! In an instant, Lee Kunlun was covered with golden arcs. The whole figure turned into a human-shaped lightning, like a thunderbolt on the ground, passing over a dozen miles of highway in an instant. Lee Kunlun is getting faster and faster. The surrounding scenery is completely blurred, and only continuous colors are left. Bang! Sound. Finally, Li Kunlun seemed to have encountered an invisible wall of air, and then slammed into it. Sonic. Li Kunlun finally broke the sound barrier and reached supersonic speed. It didn't take long for Li Kunlun to leave the Zhongcheng hunting area and come to the no man's land. It is even more desolate here, and even hunting warriors are rare. Only a strong hunting team will come to the edge of the no man's land to take risks. After all, the price of elite-level beasts is far more valuable than that of high-level beasts. Commander-level beasts are terrifying, but in a site, there is often only one commander-level beast. Like the situation where there are many commander-level beasts, it will only appear in the restricted area of life, that is, the territory of monarch-level beasts, or even emperor-level beasts. Li Kunlun glanced at the highway sign, which said Ningcheng. Li Kunlun ran from Zhongcheng to Ningcheng next door. Ningcheng belonged to a city that was completely captured by beasts, and there was no survival-based city to speak of. This is the paradise of beasts and the hell of human beings. Of course, after so many years, no one has survived in Ningcheng. Li Kunlun got off the expressway and was about to go to Ningcheng to find out if there were any elite-level beasts, or commander-level beasts. In general, a ruined city in a no man's land will have at least one commander-level beast, and it will be designated as a territory. Li Kunlun walked quietly down the street. Without human habitation, the vegetation of the ruined city grows extremely prosperously. The trees grow in the sky, and the branches are luxuriant. There are lush grass everywhere, abandoned buildings and shops, overgrown with shrubs, and the walls are covered with vines. All kinds of beasts can be seen everywhere in the streets and alleys. Li Kunlun unleashed his intimidating power, causing birds and beasts to flee and flee. Now, with the pressure of Li Kunlun's fifth-order life form, the low-level fierce beasts and the intermediate-level fierce beasts did not have the courage to challenge Li Kunlun at all. There is only awe and fear for him. Roar! A saber-toothed tiger with wings jumped down from the old residential building next to the street and rushed towards Li Kunlun. If someone is there, they must scream loudly. This is a high-level fierce beast, a double-winged saber-toothed tiger. A high-level beast. During the official martial artist exam, Li Kunlun took a lot of work to hunt down high-level vicious beasts such as cats and wind-breathing beasts. Now, Li Kunlun didn't look back, just snapped his fingers. Bam! A group of light blue high-temperature flames larger than a car exploded in midair, blasting the two-winged saber-toothed tiger out. The power of the explosion was so great that it was only the residual energy of the flame that swept the surrounding vegetation like a destructive force. Most of the old residential buildings that were closer to the building collapsed directly. As for the high-level vicious beast, the double-winged saber-toothed tiger, it has been blown up to the point where its flesh is blurred, and its fur is charred black. This trick seems simple. In fact, Li Kunlun has used most of his existing abilities. The moment you snap your fingers, the cells of your fingers are used to generate electricity, creating sparks. At the same time, using the power of the air, the hydrogen is extracted and ignited with an electric spark. The point is to compress the flame, compress the oxygen, and release it in an instant, creating a massive explosion. Well, it would be nice to call it the Mars Big Bang. Li Kunlun named his new move. After the explosion, light blue flames fell to the ground and continued to burn. Li Kunlun, who was walking forward, used his fire control ability to collect these flames again, turning them into blobs of blue flames, burning behind Li Kunlun. Li Kunlun was divided into 8 blue fireballs in total. Each light blue fireball, about the size of an adult's fist, was suspended equidistantly behind Li Kunlun. This scene looks as if the holy fire god descends and walks the world. This move is called the Emperor mode. Li Kunlun continued to name his moves. 8 light blue fireballs were suspended behind Li Kunlun. Each fireball is linked by fire, forming a shape similar to a fire wheel, which looks extremely sacred. Li Kunlun turns on the Yandi mode and carries the fire source with him, which can save the time of electric sparks. Even if this conversion time is very fast, it can become a weakness for the strong. Li Kunlun is too powerful. The beasts in Ningcheng did not dare to approach Li Kunlun at all. This scene of one person walking in a no man's land, and the result of the beast being easy to change, is really shocking and exciting. Just like King Wu going out, fierce beasts retreat. Ningcheng doesn't seem to have any powerful beasts. Li Kunlun turned his head to look around and said lightly, I read the martial artist forum that Ningcheng seems to have a pretty big zoo. After the great destruction, the level of beasts here should not be low. Go to the intersection. The bustling streets are now dilapidated. This used to be the center of Ningcheng, the most prosperous area. The four corners of the intersection are full of commercial complexes, and there are huge incomplete trademarks such as Wanda and Suyu. Now, these shopping malls, occupied by vegetation, have become a paradise for beasts. Li Kunlun has the illusion of straying into the virgin forest. With a long squeak, a three-headed giant vulture landed on the roof of the Wanda commercial building. Elite-level beasts. 3 Soul Eater. Bang 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 bang. A four-armed King Kong with a height of more than 10 meters climbed the outer wall of the Suyu shopping mall. Suddenly, a large piece of glass shattered, and the four-armed King Kong swayed over with a thick vine. Elite-level beasts. Four-armed King Kong. Hiss. In the street in the distance, a giant python bigger than a train swooped in at high speed, crushing it all the way. Elite-level beasts. Titan python. Li Kunlun stood in the middle of the intersection, surrounded by 3 elite-level beasts. Elite-level beasts, and they have 3 heads. Li Kunlun's eyes twinkled, and he spoke excitedly. Even Mr. Zhou from the Thunder Martial Arts Academy would be extremely dignified when faced with the scene of being besieged by 3 elite-level beasts, with a sense of life and death crisis. Li Kunlun didn't. Instead, he was extremely excited, his blood was boiling. Come on, let me feel. Before he finished speaking, the four-armed King Kong, who was clinging to the Suyu shopping mall, jumped down. Huge fists clasped together and slammed into Li Kunlun, who was standing on the ground. Boom! The billowing dust lifted up and rolled in all directions. The road surface at the intersection slammed and sank, forming a huge round pit. That's it. An indifferent voice came from under the giant fist of the four-armed King Kong. Li Kunlun stood there without moving a single step, holding up the giant fist of the four-armed King Kong with one hand. Roar! The four-armed Vajra's eyes were red, and a humanized look of doubt flashed. When did humans become so powerful? It usually dismantles the human exoskeleton mecha as a toy. Why is this human being encountered now, with one hand holding up its fist? Four-armed Vajra raised his hands, and his 4 fists smashed towards Li Kunlun like a violent storm. Boom boom boom. The ground at the intersection looked like a large piece of stone falling into the lake, shaking violently, and dust was flying. Huge round pits appeared on the abandoned and cracked asphalt road. However, no use at all. Li Kunlun's 1,000-fold increase in defense is not a joke. Four-armed King Kong can easily disassemble the exoskeleton armor and flatten a human tank like an egg, but it can't beat Li Kunlun. On the contrary, the four-armed King Kong actually hurt his hands. It's me. Li Kunlun kept moving one hand above his head, blocking all of the four-armed Vajra attacks. The other hand made a fist. 1,000 times, strength increase. Li Kunlun's arm, bang, and expanded in a circle. Muscles rise, blue veins bulge, like a horned dragon attached to it, full of strength. Million-ton punch. Li Kunlun's sturdy arm, an uppercut, smashed out from the bottom up. Just so, the four-armed King Kong also smashed down with a punch. A human fist, a furry and incomparably thick Vajra fist, completely disproportionate but collided together. Bang! The earth at the crossroads sank into a huge round pit again. The strong and fierce fist wind swept across the surrounding shopping malls, causing the glass of every store to burst. At the same time, four-armed King Kong felt like being hit by a fist the size of a casserole, but the quality of a 10,000-ton cruise ship. Its entire arm was scrapped and exploded into a large cloud of blood. The burly figure of more than 10 meters flew out like a cannonball and slammed into the Suyu shopping mall. Bang! Sound. Four-armed King Kong flew out from the other end of the Suyu shopping mall and flew straight to the office building behind. Bang 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 bang. He crashed through an office building and 3 residential buildings in a row, and C-Arm Jin stopped just now. Huge bodies were embedded in the outer wall of the 4th residential building. The gravel fell rustling, and finally the huge body of the four-armed King Kong fell to the ground and fell into the community. Hiss. The Titan python rushed over with its big mouth open, trying to swallow Li Kunlun in one bite. Li Kunlun's legs were still stuck in the huge crater on the road, and the Titan python hit him like a high-speed train. Li Kunlun pushed horizontally with both hands and resisted the Titan python, but was hit by the giant and plowed out 2 deep ravines from the ground, and then flew upside down into the Wanda square. The Titan python did not stop, like an arrow from the string, followed by rushing into the Wanda square. Bang bang bang. The next moment, a thick and long snake tail threw out from the side of the Wanda square, blasting the doors and windows of every shop. After a while, most of the Wanda square collapsed, and the Titan python turned into a dead snake and was buried in the rubble. Li Kunlun stood on the huge snake head, and his neck swayed twice, making a click sound. It's just a little smelly snake, so my cells won't evolve much. Li Kunlun's current life level has reached the 5th level, which can be said to have made a qualitative leap. Ordinary elite level beasts can't play a big role in the evolution of Li Kunlun cells. And the last flat-haired bird. Li Kunlun stepped on the snake head of the Titan python, raised his head, and looked at the 3 Soul Eater. Wow wow wow. The 3-headed Soul Eater was startled instinctively, and the 3 heads let out a harsh and unpleasant cry. It flaps its wide wings, and the sharp feathers fly down from the wings. Li Kunlun stood still, and the imperial air formed a thick wall of air in front of him, easily blocking all the feathers. Wow! A mournful scream. Around the long beak of the 3-headed Soul Eater, ripples in the space were set off. It was an invisible sound wave that spread out and attacked Li Kunlun. Li Kunlun's eardrum stinged, and he immediately activated a 1,000-fold defense boost, blocking the sonic attack of the 3 Soul Eater. Yin Gong. It's interesting. Li Kunlun's eyes lit up as he looked at the 3 Soul Eater. The 3-headed Soul Eater was afraid. That kind of look is the look of the hunter looking at the prey. Seeing that the situation was not good, the 3-headed Soul Eater immediately turned their heads and wanted to fly away. Want to escape? Can you escape? Li Kunlun's thoughts moved, and 8 light blue fireballs behind him immediately shot out 8 fiery lines of fire. One word: fire. Big bang. 8 light blue lines of fire caught up, and abundant oxygen was added to support the combustion, which instantly exploded into a rolling river of fire. The 3-headed Soul Eater turned around and hurriedly fluttered its wide wings, setting off a violent hurricane. The 8 burning rivers of fire were suddenly suppressed by the strong wind, and they couldn't burn up for a while. Playing with the wind in front of me is a bit over the top. Li Kunlun sneered. Feng, he can play too. Round word: fire. Round flame prison. The 8 light blue fire rivers that were suppressed immediately branched around, forming a huge circle of fire, trapping the 3-headed Soul Eater inside. The 3-headed Soul Eater wanted to break through from the top and bottom, but Li Kunlun snapped his fingers again and said in a relaxed and freehand manner, the round character: fire. The dragon roll. Boom. The fire in the Lun Yan prison rose sharply. With the help of Li Kunlun's wind control, the flames rolled and immediately turned into a tornado of flames that pierced through the sky. This dragon scroll is much stronger than the one who trapped Mao Yu in the official martial artist exam. If nothing else, the high temperature of the tornado alone is no longer comparable to before. The tornado moved in the ruined city group, sweeping away many beasts. Not long after, the 3-headed Soul Eater eagle was also burned to death. Li Kunlun frowned when he found the corpses of the 3 soul-eating vultures that had been burned to black coal. Anyway, I have no appetite to eat it, but you can touch it to upgrade the cells. Ding! The host touches the 3-headed soul-devouring eagle, the cells evolve, and the ability to attack sonic waves is LV3, and the wind control ability is upgraded to LV4. Li Kunlun's throat was itchy, and there was a strange burning sensation. But soon, this feeling disappeared. It should be the cells of the throat that have evolved. Sonic attack is an unexpected gain, but the improvement of wind control ability is the most surprising. Li Kunlun's eyes were filled with joy, and he raised his hand and clasped his fingers slightly. Li Kunlun is not simply creating a small tornado. You know, Li Kunlun's fire control ability is only level 4. Now, the self-control wind ability has also reached the level of LV4. The wisps of cyan breeze kept converging and then compressing, turning from a whirlwind into a wind ball. Not quite. Li Kunlun frowned. The new moves he conceived in his mind should be similar to the moves of the blonde male protagonist in an anime about ninjas in the peaceful era before the Great Destruction. Irregular movement. Let every wisp of wind make irregular movements. and then use the power of the air to compress every wisp of wind and keep compressing it. Li Kunlun's eyes flickered, and his ability to control the wind became more and more subtle. He controlled every wind and made irregular movements. Suddenly, the typhoon in Li Kunlun's hand suddenly changed in quality. The orderly rotating wind whirl immediately turned into a disorderly rotating wind ball. Looking closely, the surface of the typhoon ball is very peaceful, but every wisp of wind inside is spinning at a high speed in disorder. It's done. Li Kunlun happily looked at the wind bomb in his hand. Just call it Fengyu. The color is green like jade, and it is different from ordinary wind bombs, so it is called wind jade to distinguish it. Let me try the power. Li Kunlun raised his hand above his head, plundering the wind in all directions. Call out. All of a sudden, the cyan wind jade, which was originally only the size of a fist, suddenly swelled and expanded to the size of a grinding disc. From the size of a grinding disc, it was expanded to the size of a small car. Li Kunlun raised the super-sized wind jade in his hand and threw it towards the shopping mall in the distance. Cheoda Fengyu plowed all the way, leaving an arc-shaped gully. After hitting the shopping mall, the super wind jade first expanded and then disappeared silently, leaving a huge spherical hole. Through the spherical hole, you can clearly see everything in the abandoned shopping mall. Well, the power is not bad. Li Kunlun nodded, slightly satisfied. With Fengyu developed, Li Kunlun may not be able to use it in normal battles. But inventing and replicating one move after another is also a kind of fun for Li Kunlun. It's not that the wind control ability of LV4 is useless. On the contrary, for Li Kunlun, the most useful place is to reduce wind resistance. You can even use wind resistance in reverse and turn it into a boost. Think about how fast Li Kunlun, who could run faster than the speed of sound, would have exploded if there was no wind resistance. Without wind resistance, Li Kunlun can punch, move, and do anything faster. Therefore, these abilities, seemingly independent, actually have innumerable influences. Even if Li Kunlun's ability is only improved, it will be a big improvement to the overall strength. Do you want to give it a try? Run at full speed, circle Ningcheng, and find that commander level beast. A faint smile appeared on Li Kunlun's mouth. Control the wind. Li Kunlun was surrounded by wisps of pale cyan breeze. Hair, clothes, no wind fluttering. Even the feet standing on the ground slowly left the ground and floated. The surrounding dust is automatically pushed outwards. Elegant, free and easy. Li Kunlun descends like the wind god. This is called Fengdi mode. Thunder. Li Kunlun's 60 trillion cells generated electricity, and light golden thunder arcs burst out from his body. Crackling. Light golden arcs of lightning flashed on Li Kunlun, entwining his hair, muscles, and skin. Including every turn of the eyes, there is a golden electric light passing by, which is extremely attractive and has its own domineering majesty. This is the Thunder Emperor mode. The Double Emperor mode is turned on, making Li Kunlun like a burly god, descending into the world. After reaching level 3 in the ability to control the air and control the wind, he can fly in the air, and the speed is not slow. But compared to running wildly on the ground, Li Kunlun's flying speed can be said to be much slower. Now, entering the Double Emperor mode, Li Kunlun is directly suspended in the air, the surrounding thunder is flashing, and the wind is lingering, which makes him extraordinarily extraordinary. Let me look for it. Where is the commander level beast? Li Kunlun stood in the sky, his eyes like electric lights, standing in the sky searching. He has the ability to sense heat, and after coming into contact with the Titan Python, this ability has also been greatly improved. Now, Li Kunlun's thermal sensing range has expanded a lot. This area was not found, and Li Kunlun flew out directly, turning into an escape light intertwined with wind and thunder. Call out. He is too fast. Compared with the previous flight speed, it is simply incomparable. There is no wind resistance. Air and wind have even become the biggest driving force for Li Kunlun's flight. Li Kunlun is like a dragon that roams in 9 days, flying freely. If someone looked down at the sky above Ningcheng from a high altitude, they would surely see a blue-gold light flashing horizontally and vertically in the streets and alleys of Ningcheng. The speed was so fast that it only dragged out a splendid rainbow afterimage over the city. Li Kunlun also flew faster than the speed of sound. Because there is no wind resistance and no air obstruction, for Li Kunlun, there is no so-called sound barrier, and there will be no sonic boom. Not here, neither there. Li Kunlun searched left and right, and the speed of the flying escape only increased. The more skilled he became, the faster he became. When he came to a hill park in Ningcheng, Li Kunlun saw an old white-haired ape sitting on a boulder in front of a cliff, sharpening an iron rod. Li Kunlun landed on the boulder, and seemed to be muttering to himself, "It seems that you are the commander-level beast of Ningcheng." The white-haired old ape looks extremely inconspicuous, thin, and the folds of a monkey face can trap mosquitoes. Including the monkey hair on his body, it was also dry and pale, with a piece of hair and a piece of baldness. If it wasn't for Li Kunlun's thermal induction, he could not believe the volcanic heat contained in the white-haired old ape's body. This is also the first time that Li Kunlun has seen a commander-level beast. To be honest, there is no imaginary power of the Tyrant Jedi, but it is very ordinary, and it feels like a monkey spirit in Journey to the West. The white-haired old ape's eyes were scarlet. With a bit of turbidity, he turned his head to look at Li Kunlun, and continued to sharpen the iron rod. Li Kunlun asked curiously, "What are you doing?" Immediately, he shook his head and sneered, "What can I say? How can the beast speak? Journey to the West, Sun Wukong, sharpen iron rods, kill enemies." "You, the enemy, I want to kill," the white-haired old ape said word by word, stumbling. Boom! Li Kunlun raised an uproar in his heart, with a look of horror, staring at the white-haired old ape in front of him. Just a few short words from the white-haired old ape were like a deep-sea bomb, and thousands of waves exploded in Li Kunlun's mind. The vicious beast actually spit out human words. It even seems to have seen Journey to the West and knows Sun Wukong. Ferocious beasts, become refined. Li Kunlun sucked in a breath of cold air. No, there is a post on the martial artist forum that says that high-level beasts already have extremely strong intelligence. This old ape can talk, but it's not incomprehensible. Li Kunlun also wanted to know where the white-haired old ape learned about Journey to the West and Sun Wukong, but the white-haired old ape didn't seem to have this plan. The hunched body of the white-haired old ape stood up from the rock, leaning on an iron rod in one hand like a man. "Iron rod, grind it well, you die." The white-haired old ape kicked his legs and directly smashed the rock under his feet. The skinny ape body, wrapped in a string of gravel and dust, rose into the air and leapt into the sky. "Die!" the white-haired old ape shouted, and the volcanic energy in his body erupted. In an instant, the blood and energy were like a volcanic eruption. This behemoth, with its back to the sun, blocked the sun tightly, casting a large black shadow on the hill. Fierce, vicious. This is the commander-level beast. What is even more surprising is that the iron rod in the hand of the white-haired giant ape has become larger, which is very miraculous. It really looks like the wishful golden hoop rod in Journey to the West. Along with the deafening ape cry, the white-haired giant ape held the huge iron rod in both hands and slammed it down at Li Kunlun. Good come. Li Kunlun's fighting spirit was boiling, and he didn't have any intention of hiding, and directly greeted the huge iron rod with his bare hands. Boom! Then, there was a deafening loud noise. In the process of being smashed down, the huge iron rod continued to grow, even covering the sky. A black cloud covered the top and slammed into the top of the hill. For a while, the ground shook, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The hill at the foot of Li Kunlun was torn apart, fell apart, and collapsed into huge pieces of rubble. A hill was smashed like this. Li Kunlun took the huge iron rod with his bare hands and was also smashed into the mountainside. From the belly of the mountain, he was pressed all the way to the ground. The white-haired giant ape fell from the sky with a bang, holding an iron rod and standing on the spot. Its eyes, like a blood moon, are scarlet and attractive. Every time the white-haired giant ape breathed, it was like a wind and thunder, and the white air was billowing in and out of its nostrils. There is no doubt that this is the commander-level behemoth. Ha 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 ha. Strong, really strong, much stronger than the power of the four-armed King Kong. A domineering and wild laughter came from the ground. With a sound of pong, the ruins of the collapsed mountain exploded. A blue-gold light escaped out of the stone, crossed a parabola in midair, and landed heavily in front of the white-haired giant ape. Li Kunlun grabbed the other drooping arm with one hand and pushed it up hard. With a crisp click, Li Kunlun's dislocated arm resumed. Li Kunlun said nonchalantly, As expected of a commander-level beast, some strengths are indeed powerful. But Li Kunlun's eyes became more and more fiery, and he walked step by step to the giant white-haired ape as tall as a hill, and his momentum continued to rise. I took you with my bare hands just now, and I made sure of one thing. That is, commander-level beasts, I can kill them too. Chapter 51. Generally speaking, the higher the rank, the larger the size of the beast. For the giant beasts, any tanks and armored vehicles are just like paper, and there is not much difference. The effect of the shells is also minimal. Only Wu Zun condenses the martial spirit, which is filled with true energy and can be transformed into a dharma like in mythological novels. Only by relying on the martial spirit can we fight against the commander-level beasts, otherwise, the use of missile nuclear weapons is not a long-term solution. You know, there are too many commander-level beasts in the world. Is it possible to plow the ground with nuclear bombs and blow up the surface of this planet all over again? Of course, in the early days of the Great Destruction, human beings used this ultimate weapon to defend against beasts, causing many places to be dead and dead. Human, die. Total annihilation. The white-haired giant ape let out a roar, and even called out the name of the move in the human world. It grabbed the huge iron rod with both arms and swept it out, turning into a huge black fan-shaped afterimage. Boom boom boom. The dust and gravel are stirred into a huge wave. The ground of this hill park was completely swept away. Li Kunlun entered the double emperor mode, and the wind and thunder were entangled. At the moment when the huge iron rod swept over, Li Kunlun jumped into the air, dodging the attack of the white-haired giant ape. Super Wind Jade. Li Kunlun raised one hand, condensed a huge cyan wind jade, and threw it away. The white-haired giant ape let out a long roar, and the huge iron rod was shortened, splitting out strands of iron sand, which gathered into a thick iron shield, blocking the front of the white-haired giant ape. The super-large wind jade and the heavy iron shield collided, swelled and then disappeared, cutting out a spherical hole, but it did not affect the white-haired giant ape. It turns out that you are the ability to control metal. Control the extremely fine iron sand and condense it into a huge iron rod. You can also use these iron sands to combine and condense things at will, for defense, which is a bit interesting. A faint smile appeared on Li Kunlun's mouth. Iron sand. One of his abilities is thunder and lightning. Putting that aside, the ability to control metal is indeed extremely tricky. At least more than half of human weapons are ineffective against the white-haired giant ape. Shish. The white-haired giant ape swung the cumbersome giant iron rod, but could not hit Li Kunlun, so he simply changed the fighting method, controlled the iron sand, condensed into long black thorns, and stabbed Li Kunlun. Li Kunlun in double emperor mode is extremely fast, tumbling and dancing in the air, dodging left and right, dodging the attack of the white-haired giant ape. Just let you try my new move. Li Kunlun's body produces electricity from 60 trillion cells. 60 trillion strands of electricity converged and exploded, making Li Kunlun extremely dazzling, like a human-shaped lightning bolt. Thunder penalty. Li Kunlun, who shone with fiery golden electric light, slashed down with the palm of his hand. Boom. In an instant, a thunderbolt exploded from the blue. A billion-volt golden lightning, like a huge golden axe, slashed down from the sky. The white-haired giant ape was keenly aware of the crisis, and its arms were crossed above its head. At the same time, the half-iron rod around him, countless iron sand surged, condensed into a black round shield, blocking the head of the white-haired giant ape. The huge golden thunder axe slammed heavily on the black round shield, bursting out more electric light, which was transmitted to the white-haired giant ape. Roar! The white-haired giant ape screamed, and all over the body, the ape's hair exploded, the arc jumped, and the electricity was not light. Li Kunlun is ready to cast another billion volts, thousands of iron cones, lacing over. Facing the iron cones like the rainstorm, he had to take the initiative to defend and block all the iron cones. When Li Kunlun took time to look at it, he found that the white-haired giant ape had escaped and ran to the urban area of Ningchang. Want to escape? Li Kunlun's body moved with wind and thunder, and immediately rushed towards the white-haired giant ape. Bang 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 bang. The white-haired giant ape didn't turn its head back and ran to the streets of the city. Abandoned cars and other metal objects rose from the ground and were controlled by the white-haired giant ape, all of which smashed at Li Kunlun. Li Kunlun looked at the many things smashed on the ground in the city, frowned slightly, and his body turned into a line of lightning, avoiding the abandoned cars and other objects. Don't run away, you can't escape. Li Kunlun slashed with one hand, and a fiery and dazzling golden axe turned into a thunderbolt again, piercing the sky and hitting the white-haired giant ape. Roar! The white-haired giant ape screamed in pain and slammed into the tall building next to it. Bang! The glass of the entire building burst and shattered into countless pieces of glass slag. The building also collapsed due to the impact of the white-haired giant ape, pressing down on Li Kunlun, who flew over. Li Kunlun accelerated in vain, overtaking the collapsed building. The building collapsed suddenly, smashing to the side, crushing a group of buildings. Humans, don't deceive people too much. The white-haired giant ape stumbled, and its body was beginning to be paralyzed. After all, it is a billion volts of lightning. Even if a single blow does not kill the commander-level beast, it can still cause damage such as paralysis. Too deceiving. You are a vicious beast. The enemy of our humanity. Li Kunlun raised his hand and slashed, and another golden thunder axe slashed over. The white-haired giant ape grabbed with both hands, and the building next to it cracked, the cement fell off, and the steel bars were exposed. The white-haired giant ape controlled the steel bars, gathered them together, twisted them into a huge steel bar, and held them in their hands. During this process, the white-haired giant ape was punished by Li Kunlun 2 or 3 times, and the white-haired giant ape was almost scorched by electricity, and black smoke appeared repeatedly. It seems that the power of a bolt of lightning is still not enough, and continuous lightning output is needed. Li Kunlun frowned, and with one hand facing the sky, he controlled the situation and gathered the positive and negative ions between heaven and earth. In the sky above Ningcheng, the wind was surging, and a black thundercloud formed immediately, and the black pressure was low. Thunder punishment comes to the world. Following Li Kunlun's majestic shout, a thick and pitch-black thundercloud floated above the white-haired giant ape. Immediately afterwards, the dark clouds thundered, and there was a loud bang, and streaks of golden lightning fell from the air, and a head slammed into the white-haired giant ape. The white-haired giant ape screwed up the giant steel rod, turned its hands quickly, resisted the thunder in the sky, and then slammed it heavily on the ground to guide the thunder to the ground. Boom! The ground thundered, like thousands of golden lightning snakes, extending out along the street. Streetlights exploded one by one, abandoned cars flew out, and nearby beasts suffered heavy casualties. Of course, the hands of the white-haired giant ape were almost abolished, and the electricity turned into blackened charcoal. You still know how to conduct lightning. Then how can you avoid my fist? Li Kunlun shouted, and like a Superman, he charged straight at the giant white-haired ape, and then punched him. This punch, a million heavy-ton punch plus a sonic punch plus a billion volts. Li Kunlun's strongest attack, still the fist. This punch, like a bullet with a weight of 10,000 tons, was set up on the railgun and fired. The speed is too fast, there is no possibility of evasion, and it hits the burly and strong white-haired giant ape. Pong! A blood mist exploded, and a huge blood hole appeared out of thin air in the upper body of the white-haired giant ape. The hole was clean, transparent from front to back, and no trace of residual ischemic flesh and broken bones could be seen. Not only that, the punch of Li Kunlun's punch, after piercing the white-haired giant ape, chiseled through the tall buildings behind. The fist wind swept across the 4 directions, and the glass of Ningcheng's large building was crushed and shattered. The sea of clouds in the distance was also broken up by Li Kunlun with a punch, and Qinli clarified. This is the power of Li Kunlun's one punch. It even surpassed Wu Zun and was close to the might of Wu Wang. The giant steel rod in the hands of the white-haired giant ape, no longer able to hold it, fell to the ground. It also followed like the collapse of the Lifeng Pagoda, and the corpse stood upright and fell on the ground, crushing many things. A commander-level beast just died like that. Finally dead. As expected of a commander-level beast, it's really hard to kill. With the strength of my current 5th-order lifeform, I am afraid that it is not enough to deal with monarch-level beasts, but commander-level beasts should be enough. Li Kunlun flew down from the sky and stood on the head of the white-haired giant ape. He squatted down, placed his palm on the forehead of the white-haired giant ape, and waited silently. After a while, the system prompt sounds. Ding! The host touches the silver-backed diamond, the cell evolves, and the ability to control metal LV3 becomes huge. As the voice echoed in his mind, the the lightning brought about by cell evolution spread throughout his body and limbs. Control metal, and giant ape. Lee Kunlun's eyes flashed brightly, and he turned to look at the smashed car beside the abandoned road. The car floated up without wind, and under the control of Lee Kunlun, threw it to the store next to it with a bang. As soon as the palm was lifted, another abandoned car floated into the air. Lee Kunlun clenched his palm sharply. The suspended abandoned car is creaked and compressed, and the A-pillars, car covers, roofs and other metals are all deformed and squeezed into an iron ball. Rise. Lee Kunlun gradually became proficient in using the ability to control metal. With his hands again, all the metal objects nearby floated into the air. The ability to control metal is really useful. Lee Kunlun looked around for a week, excited to get another powerful ability. And gigantic ape, Lee Kunlun also tried it. As a result, the next moment, on the abandoned streets of Ningcheng, a huge black-haired giant ape of dozens of meters appeared out of thin air. Mighty and powerful, exuding a fierce magic all over. Roar. Lee Kunlun, who turned into a giant ape, raised his arms, beat his chest, raised his head and let out an earth-shattering roar. With such a huge body, things instantly feel much smaller. Many things are under their feet and need to be overlooked. The whole city is like a big toy. Soon, the giant ape shrank rapidly as if it had shrunk. At the same time as it shrinks, the scarlet eyes like the bloody sun gradually become clear and translucent. The hairy face and Lei Gongzui also return to the handsome and resolute human face. There are also thick ape hairs all over the body, shortening and thinning until they disappear. The transformation process is over quickly. In less than 3 seconds, Lee Kunlun returned to his normal appearance. This giant ape transformation is a bit like an alien in a certain anime, and it can also be transformed. As for the transformation, there is an increase in strength, but the gap is not too big, at most it is a supplement to the ability. Lee Kunlun muttered. Compared with the giant ape, it is more practical to control the metal. After transforming into a giant ape, Lee Kunlun's tattered clothes burst into pieces again. The naked Lee Kunlun, standing on the head of the white-haired giant ape, gestured with the palm of his hand. Call out. A piece of metal that I don't know if it was a car part or a piece of metal that fell from somewhere suddenly flew over and stuck to Lee Kunlun's shoulder. Come again. Lee Kunlun looked around and kept waving. Boo, ha, ha. The surrounding metal fragments, like iron blocks meeting magnets, flew over automatically and stuck to Lee Kunlun. After a bang, Lee Kunlun was covered with various scrap metal fragments, large and small, with different thicknesses. Pieced together, it looks like a piece of armor picked up in a junkyard. Immediately after, Lee Kunlun snapped his fingers. Electric sparks appeared out of nowhere, igniting hydrogen gas, forming a raging fire that enveloped the body. Lee Kunlun used a high-temperature flame to burn these iron pieces to red and melt them, manipulate them from a liquid metal state, condense them into armor, and then cool them down. If you can control the metal LV4, you can more easily control the shape of the metal, and even create various alloys. Now, Lee Kunlun uses flame to smelt, and there are more tedious steps. After the rudimentary armor was burned out, Lee Kunlun wore it. I barely have clothes to cover my body. When I go back, I'd better buy a decent combat uniform. Lee Kunlun thought, and the excess metal liquid after melting was calcined into a huge knife. With a snap of his fingers, the cells generated electricity, pouring golden thunder into the giant metal blade. Lee Kunlun waved his palm at will, like a sword, slashed at the white-haired giant ape, and cut open the body. After searching carefully, Lee Kunlun successfully found the soul crystal belonging to the white-haired giant ape. It was a transparent silver-white hexagonal crystal. In the crystal, there is also a shrunken white-haired giant ape, like the soul of this commander-level beast, which is extremely magical. No wonder it's called soul crystal. With the help of soul crystals, military generals can condense their martial spirits and become a martial master who can guard the quartet and defend the base city. I believe it can be sold for a good price. Lee Kunlun put away the fist-sized soul crystal and started the journey back. The main purpose of going out of the city this time is to try a small knife to see how his strength has grown. By the way, hunt some beasts to increase your income. After all, Lee Kunlun is now poor and has already invited Qian Liner to dinner, and he has to pay the proprietress on credit at the food stall. Li Kunlun flew back to Zhongcheng's hunting area. To avoid getting too much attention, land in an unoccupied place and run to the entrance of the defensive fortress in Zhongcheng's base city. Li Kunlun successfully entered the city and returned to the base city of Zhongcheng after passing a series of checkpoints and inspections. The entrance and exit of the hunting team are much stricter than the entrance and exit of the Hualong train. Fortunately, it was a lesbian who checked my body, otherwise my innocence would be lost. Li Kunlun shook his head and said, because the human survival base city is related to the safety of hundreds of thousands or even millions of human beings, the security inspection is extremely strict. Especially the entrance and exit of the hunting team composed of warriors, there is a huge flow of people every day, the fish and dragons are mixed, and the corpses of fierce beasts are often brought back, so the inspection is more stringent. Like general base cities have requirements, the loot brought back by the hunting team cannot be living beasts. Even if it is the corpse of a beast, it must be dissected, not the whole body of the beast, to prevent the beast from feigning and cheating death. These are all hard lessons learned. It's good to be back. After Li Kunlun entered the city, standing on the street, watching the bustling scene of traffic, it seemed like a lifetime. In the hunting area and no man's land, as far as you can see, there are only ruins, desolation, fierce beasts, and overgrown weeds. Only the base city retains the last human civilization. All peace is temporary. If a god-level beast is born in the ferocious beast camp, the balance that is finally balanced will tilt again. Li Kunlun muttered, humans always have a sword of Damocles hanging over their heads. Forget it, it's too long since I think about it, I'll sell the soul crystal of the white-haired giant ape first. Li Kunlun took back his thoughts. He originally planned to sell the soul crystal of this white-haired giant ape on the Warrior Forum. Martial Artist Forum trading, free trading is possible. But for extremely important and expensive commodities like soul crystals, the other party must want a certificate verified by a third party. The most reliable third-party verification is naturally the Warrior Association. Instead of going to the Warrior Association to do a third-party verification, Li Kunlun might as well sell the soul crystals directly to the Warrior Association. Besides, the Martial Artist Association's bid may not necessarily be cheaper than the one sold by the Martial Artist Forum. It's okay to sell soul crystals to the Warrior Association, but it's a little unsafe to transfer such a large amount of money to my account. Li Kunlun touched his chin, frowning in thought. It wasn't that he was afraid, Li Kunlun just didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble. By the way, isn't Qian Liner the eldest daughter of Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce? Ask her if she can help me set up a secret account. Li Kunlun took a taxi home first and changed out of his rudimentary armor. Wearing this rudimentary armor, the taxi driver couldn't help but look at him more. After entering the door, Li Kunlun was about to take off his armor when he saw his sister come out of the bathroom with a cool body. She turned her head and wiped the water from her hair with a dry towel as she walked to her room. At this time, Li Xiaoyu saw the big brother standing in the doorway. Li Kunlun just took off the shoulder armor and saw his sister who came out of the bath. The two were petrified for a moment. The originally quiet air seemed to be even more stagnant. Brother, big brother. With a boom in Li Xiaoyu's brain, it went blank and suddenly became chaotic. The next moment, Li Xiaoyu's cheeks were flushed, red to the base of his ears and neck. I'm back in my room. Li Xiaoyu left a sentence, lowered his head and sprinted for 100 meters, returned to his room, and closed the door with a bang. Li Kunlun stood at the entrance with a stunned expression on his face, and then said awkwardly, I didn't see anything. Forget it, it was just an accident. Taking off the rudimentary armor, Li Kunlun doesn't know where to throw these iron lumps. After all, it is his first work, which is very memorable. Go back and let my mother sell it as scrap iron. Li Kunlun turned his head and planned to sell the iron lumps. Back in the room, Li Kunlun put on clean clothes and called Qian Liner. Li Kunlun said that he wanted to set up a secret account so that others could not trace the information of the head of the household. Qian Liner deserves to be the eldest daughter of Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce. She didn't ask why Li Kunlun wanted to set up a secret account, and directly settled Li Kunlun's affairs. You owe me another meal, Qian Liner said with a smile. 1 meal, 10 meals or 100 meals are fine. I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. Just tell me what you want to eat. Li Kunlun readily agreed. As long as the soul crystal of the white-haired giant ape is sold, Li Kunlun can become rich directly. Bah, who wants you to cover my meals for the rest of my life? Qian Linner's heart trembled for a while, and she shyly said, Kunlun, are you rich? I don't know who invited me to eat food stalls before, but it turned out to be on credit. Li Kunlun was brought up with the embarrassment, coughed dryly, and retorted, it's not that you are too good at eating, we ate several thousand in 2 days. I didn't bring enough money at all. Qian Linner smiled and said, then go to the food stall next time. Li Kunlun said, no, I want to eat at another house. I'll take you to eat another one. You know, there are many delicacies in the mortal world, and you must have never eaten a lot of this, young lady. Li Kunlun and Qian Linner chatted happily for a while before hanging up. Qian Linner works very efficiently. In no time, the matter of Li Kunlun's secret account was settled. The Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce and other base cities jointly created a warrior security bank. The secret account of Li Kunlun was opened at the martial artist security bank. Okay, you can sell the soul crystal. I don't know how much it can sell for. Li Kunlun was about to go out when he saw his sister put on a blue sweater and stood awkwardly at the door. Xiaoyu, big brother. Li Xiaoyu lowered her head, her cheeks flushed, and she whispered. What's matter? Li Kunlun saw his sister wearing a sweater and jeans, and the scene just now appeared in his mind involuntarily. No way, who called Li Kunlun has a good memory. After cell evolution, Li Kunlun's life level improved and became more memorable. Big brother, I actually. Li Xiaoyu summoned his courage and said, Big brother, in fact, I have broken through to the realm of a martial artist. What? Li Kunlun held Li Xiaoyu's lotus arm in surprise and asked excitedly, how did you do it, why is it so fast? Li Xiaoyu showed a proud smile. I won the Thunder Martial Arts competition and won a qi condensation pill. And then with the help of this qi condensing pill, the qi gathered into a vortex and broke through to the realm of martial arts. She looked at Li Kunlun expectantly, wanting to get a reward. Yes, as expected of my Li Kunlun's sister, ha ha ha. Li Kunlun touched Li Xiaoyu's head and laughed heartily. He knew that his sister must have done a lot of work when she was invisible. Only hard work, and hard work can break through to the realm of martial arts so quickly. She's chasing me desperately, Li Kunlun secretly thought. It is a pity that Li Kunlun, who has embarked on the road of cell evolution, has made breakthroughs too fast. Some time ago, Li Kunlun was an ordinary person. Today, Li Kunlun can knock out a commander-level beast with one punch, at least comparable to the existence of Wu Zun. From ordinary people to Wu Zun. Between the two, it has crossed the 4 realms of warrior, and warrior. This is a huge gap. Li Xiaoyu happily enjoyed Li Kunlun's touch, and said happily, because after breaking through the realm of a martial artist, infuriating qi spreads all over the body, washes the marrow and chops the bones, and excretes a lot of dirt. I thought that my parents couldn't be at home for work, my big brother was in the hunting area again, and I was in a hurry to wash off the dirt, so. Li Xiaoyu explained to Li Kunlun in a low voice. Li Kunlun smiled and said, it's okay, we took a shower together when we were kids. It's alright, what happened just now, big brother has forgotten. Really? Li Xiaoyu blinked her big eyes. Of course it's true. Okay, big brother still has something to do when you go out. You stay at home and consolidate your martial arts realm. Li Xiaoyu just gathered the true qi in his body into a vortex. If it is not consolidated, once the infuriating vortex collapses, Li Xiaoyu will fall from the martial artist realm to the martial artist realm again. Li Xiaoyu let out an, returned to her room, sat cross-legged on the futon, and continued to practice breathing. Li Kunlun glanced at his sister. She is much harder than her own cultivation. The journey of martial arts is extremely difficult. Li Kunlun put on his shoes and went out and took a ride to the Warrior Association. He didn't run, lest the clothes and shoes be scrapped again. As for flying over the base city in broad daylight, it is still too conspicuous, so I chose to take a taxi. I'll have money later, it's just a taxi, it's not that I can't afford it. Li Kunlun took out a few coins in his pocket, went home with a dark face, and asked Li Xiaoyu to borrow 100 yuan. To the Warrior Association. After Li Kunlun got out of the car, he rubbed his face with both hands. facial muscles, as well as facial features, have undergone a lot of changes. Li Kunlun, who was promoted to the fifth order life form, has control over himself to the smallest degree. Not to mention controlling and changing facial muscles, Li Kunlun can even move the position of internal organs. Li Kunlun changed into an ordinary appearance before walking into the trading area of the Martial Artist Association. The Martial Artist Association occupies a large area. In addition to the martial artist evaluation area that Li Kunlun went to before, there are other areas such as the trading area. The trading area can buy and sell beasts and other things. The warrior teams returning from the hunting area usually drive armored pickup trucks to the trading area of the Warrior Association to buy and sell. People who come to buy and sell in the Martial Artist Association trading area are not limited to the Martial Artist Association, but can also be other companies, business groups, or individuals in Zhongcheng Base City. Don't miss it when you pass by. The newly hunted wild beef has firm meat and delicious taste. It is an excellent food to replenish qi and blood. A pair of tusks of a wild boar. If you are interested, take a look. The price is negotiable. 1,000 adult quilling porcupine spines, wholesale sale. On the square of the trading area, trucks stopped. There are many buyers and sellers coming and going, and there are also many warriors from the hunting team who are selling the valuable parts of the beast. Of course, most of those sold on the square were low-level and intermediate-level beasts. High-level beasts are rare, let alone elite-level beasts. Li Kunlun crossed the bustling and lively trading area square and came to the trading hall of the Warrior Association. I have something I want to sell. Li Kunlun knocked on the counter and said in a deep voice. The staff asked, "Hello, what is it?" Soul crystal. Li Kunlun is like a taciturn hunter. Talk less, his voice hoarse and low. Soul crystal. The staff almost screamed out. She lowered her voice in time and looked at Li Kunlun suspiciously. Soul crystals are something that only commander-level beasts have. Could this unremarkable warrior in front of him be able to hunt down commander-level beasts? Please wait a moment, I will contact the appraiser. The staff were in awe and did not dare to delay, and immediately contacted the top management of the Warrior Association. Soon, a Cheongsam beauty hurried over. Sir, please. The beautiful Cheongsam led Li Kunlun to a luxuriously decorated private room. A white-haired old man with reading glasses is boredly observing the cultural relic walnuts with a magnifying glass. Hearing the beautiful woman in Cheongsam knocking on the door, the white-haired old man opened the drawer and stuffed the cultural relic walnuts into it. Come in. The white-haired old man pushed his reading glasses. The beautiful woman in Cheongsam said, Elder Dong, it is this gentleman who wants to sell soul crystals. Oh, are you selling soul crystals? The white-haired old man got up quickly and shook hands with Li Kunlun. Being able to sell soul crystals proves that the person in front of him is likely to be a Wu Zun, or a close associate of Wu Zun. It is very unlikely that it is Wu Zun, after all Li Kunlun looks quite young. And most of the Wu Zuns are very well known. Like Zhongcheng Base City, there are 4 towns and cities Wu Zun. Therefore, Li Kunlun is more likely to be Wu Zun's heir or heir. Can you show me the soul crystals you sold? Can. Li Kunlun took out the soul crystal of the white-haired giant ape and handed it to the white-haired old man. Hey, slow down. The white-haired old man was solemn and cautious, like holding a ginseng fruit. He carefully took the soul crystal. Li Kunlun was also a little nervous, looking forward to the value of this soul crystal. But he remained calm on the surface and asked calmly, how much can this soul crystal be sold for? The appraiser Dong Lao did not rush to answer, but took out various instruments and carefully inspected the soul crystal. After all, this is a valuable thing, and some people spend their time imitating and counterfeiting. After some careful inspection, Mr. Dong held the soul crystal in his hand again, mobilized his infuriating energy, and injected a wisp of it into the soul crystal. Roar! Suddenly, the white-haired giant ape in the soul crystal seemed to come alive, projecting a phantom. Fierce, domineering, and wild aura erupted from the phantom of the white-haired giant ape. It even faintly caused people to have auditory hallucinations, as if hearing the chirping of the white-haired giant ape. The well-informed Elder Dong took a slight breath and immediately stopped the injection of infuriating energy. After finishing, Dong Lao carefully returned the soul crystal to Li Kunlun. Sir, after my inspection, this is the soul crystal of the commander-level beast, the silverback King Kong. Dong Lao said to Li Kunlun in a solemn tone. Li Kunlun nodded and said, yes, it is the soul crystal of the silverback King Kong. Dong Lao continued. After my appraisal, this silver-backed diamond soul crystal is of excellent condition and is extremely well preserved. If the gentleman wants to sell it, the Martial Artist Association can come up with this number. Dong Lao raised a finger. 100 million yen national currency. Li Kunlun frowned, much less than expected. Dong Lao shook his head and said, it's 1 billion. 10, a billion. Li Kunlun's heart was shocked, and an uproar broke out in his mind. 1 billion. He has never seen so much money growing up. Judging from the wages of former workers, Li Kunlun feels that he has to work since ancient times and live until now to save 1 billion. Fortunately, Li Kunlun has excellent control over facial expressions, and he can be called the best actor, without showing a shocked expression. It's only 1 billion, which is a bit less. Li Kunlun seemed a little dissatisfied. Old Dong coughed lightly and said, if Mr. really wants to buy it, the price can be negotiated. Li Kunlun said indifferently, how much can the Warrior Association pay for one price? If I sell it on the Martial Artist Forum, I believe that some martial arts halls and big families will be interested in this soul crystal. Soul crystal, this is the key to the generals leading to Wuzun. What's more, the strength of the white-haired giant ape is not bad among the commander-level beasts. If you can condense the martial spirit of a white-haired giant ape, after breaking through to become Wuzun, the improvement in strength will be huge. Mr. Dong hesitated for a moment and replied, up to 1.3 billion, which is already the highest price that the Warrior Association can offer. Okay, deal. Li Kunlun agreed with a deadpan expression. Dong Lao breathed a sigh of relief. This soul crystal was successfully won. He didn't know that Li Kunlun's heart had already blossomed with joy. I just tried it out at random, but I didn't expect to make 300 million in vain. Of course, the Martial Artist Association will definitely not lose money. If it really lost money, the Warrior Association would not spend so much money to buy it. Li Kunlun gave Dong Lao the soul crystal of the white-haired giant ape, and provided the private account of his own Warrior Security Bank. This account, even if the Warrior Association is willing to check it, can't find out who the owner of the account is. Sir, please wait a moment, our Martial Artist Association will send you the remittance, it may take some time. Li Kunlun sat on the sofa and waited patiently. The beautiful woman in Cheongsam poured tea for Li Kunlun, cut the fruit plate, and served it. Li Kunlun was bored and calculated. If one person earns 1,000 people can earn 1 million in one day. There must be 1,000 people who come to the Martial Artist Association for assessment every day. In 100 days, the Martial Artist Association can earn 100 million. This is just one of the ways the Warrior Association makes money. There are definitely other ways, such as warrior forums, equipment sales, and so on. To put it simply, the Warrior Association is still very rich. Of course, as the largest organization in the Yan Kingdom and even in the world, the cost of the Warrior Association is unimaginably huge. After waiting for about half an hour, Mr. Dong said to Li Kunlun, Sir, the Martial Artist Association has credited 1.3 billion to your account. You can check to see if the account has been received. Li Kunlun glanced at his phone, and the text message showed that his account had received a transfer of 1.3 billion yen national currency. 1,300 million. Get rich instantly. Li Kunlun held back his excitement, said goodbye to Mr. Dong, and left the Warrior Association. Good guy, I posted it now, and got rich overnight. Li Kunlun now has only one impulse, one thought, and that is, buy. When you make money, you have to spend it. Otherwise, what's the point of making money? Li Kunlun decided not to go to the hunting area for a few days, and spent 1.3 billion to spend. Let's change a set of luxury flats first. In the base city with limited land area, it is really worth every inch of land. How to accommodate the increasing population has become a serious problem, and we can only continue to build high-rise buildings. Therefore, Zhongcheng's base city is full of high-rise buildings and no villas. Rich people live in high-end buildings and luxuriously decorated large flats. Of course, the price is also terrible. In order to save money, the family lives in a dilapidated small house. Now, Li Kunlun has 1.3 billion, so it is natural to improve the living environment. Buy a house, buy clothes, then buy a bunch of gear. By the way, let my parents retire and enjoy the happiness. The old father is old and still working on the hanging tower. Lee Kunlun figured out how to spend 1.3 billion. As for how the money came, Lee Kunlun had a good idea. Anyway, I definitely don't tell my parents the exact number, and then the house is said to be rented, and the equipment is said to be sponsored by Chian Liner. In terms of money, luckily, I came across the corpse of an elite-level beast and picked it up and sold it for money. After all, although elite-level beasts are not as good as the soul crystals of command-level beasts, they are still very valuable. Having said that, Lee's father and Lee's mother naturally won't ask too much, and can enjoy peace and happiness. It's getting late. Lee Kunlun took a taxi home for dinner, and told his father and Mother Lee of his big harvest in the hunting area today. Mother Lee prepared a table of good dishes. Father Lee was happy and had a few more drinks with Lee Kunlun. In the evening, Lee's father and Lee's mother called Lee Kunlun to their room, saying that there was an extremely important matter to tell Lee Kunlun. After washing up, Lee Kunlun came to his parents' room. Father Lee leaned against the windowsill, opened the window a crack, and smoked a cigarette. Mother Lee was sitting at the dressing table, her eyes flickering under the light of the bedside lamp. Lee Kunlun asked suspiciously, "Mom and Dad, what's wrong?" Lee's mother glanced at Lee's father and said, "The child's father, tell me." "Okay, I'll say what I say." Father Lee took another deep breath. The tobacco leaves scorched quickly and turned into soot. He pressed the cigarette butt into the ashtray on the windowsill, rolled it around and snuffed it out, and beckoned to Lee Kunlun. Lee Kunlun walked over. What to say? Mysterious. Father Lee closed the window and whispered, "Actually, Xiao Yu is not your sister." "What?" Then I picked it up. Lee Kunlun widened his eyes and looked at Father Lee in disbelief. "Stinky boy, what nonsense are you talking about?" Mother Lee gave Lee Kunlun an angry look. "You were born in October by the mother who worked so hard to conceive, how could it not be your own?" "Oh," Lee Kunlun's eyes flashed, and he said again in surprise, "Could it be that you picked up my sister?" Father Lee nodded silently. In that era, there were wars and turmoil, too many wives and families were separated, and families were destroyed. Xiao Yu was picked up when you were a child when we were fleeing to Zhongcheng. It was still raining that day. Lee's mother and Lee's father's eyes flickered, and they fell into memory. Those turbulent years left deep traces in their memory. Of course, Lee Kunlun was young and didn't remember these things at all. No wonder. Lee Kunlun didn't know what to say. Unexpected, but not too shocking to accept. People always say that my sister doesn't look like you, and her appearance is higher. And none of our family is talented in martial arts, but my sister does. I understand now, Xiao Yu is not your own. Father Lee took out a cigarette case and wanted to smoke another cigarette. He fumbled around in his pockets, but couldn't find a lighter. "I'll give you some." Lee Kunlun snapped his fingers, and a small cluster of light blue flames appeared on his fingers. Lee's father, who is Lao Su, directly rounded his eyes. He was shown by his son just now. After Lee Kunlun lit the cigarette, he flicked it to extinguish the small light blue flame. "It's just magic," Lee Kunlun explained lightly. Inexplicably shocked, Father Lee nodded and said, "Actually, we have been hesitant to tell you. But now that you are on your own, I decided to tell you this secret. After all, your mother and I will eventually grow old and die. For the rest of the days, you still depend on each other for life." Lee's father spoke very modestly. But Lee Kunlun still understood, and he knew the elegant meaning by hearing the strings. "Good guy, you don't have to worry about your parents breaking your legs anymore. Dad, I understand, I will take care of Xiao Yu like my sister." Lee Kunlun patted Father Lee on the shoulder. Mother Lee glared at Father Lee and said in a low voice, "Can't you just keep your mouth shut? Xiao Yu will hear it." Lee Kunlun spread his hands and said, "It's too late. Xiao Yu has now been promoted to the realm of a martial artist. She has good ears and eyesight, and she can hear the slightest movement in the family clearly." "Father Lee, Mother Lee, don't tell me sooner." Lee's father almost exploded, and could not wait to give Lee Kunlun a few chestnuts. Lee Kunlun replied helplessly, "I think so too, but who knew you would say this?" When you said that Xiao Yu was not my sister, she probably heard it. Father Li. Mother Li. Father Li held the cigarette with trembling palms, and took a sip to his mouth. He waved his other hand, indicating that Li Kunlun could go back to his room. Before Li Kunlun returned to the room, he glanced at Li Xiaoyu's door. He turned on the heat sensor and found a mass of energy standing by the door, leaning against the wall. Looks like she heard my sister. How can I comfort her? As a straight man of steel who has worked in the defense fortress for several years and has never talked about his girlfriend, Li Kunlun is really not very consoling. Forget it, let mom and dad have a headache. Li Kunlun shook his head and went back to his room. In the family, the one with the most complicated mood is Li Xiaoyu herself. She leaned against the wall, slowly slid down, and finally squatted on the ground. Li Xiaoyu hugged his knees with his hands, buried his head in his arms, and the 5-flavor bottle in his heart seemed to be knocked over at once. Sadness, sadness, there must be, but Li Xiaoyu has no memory of her biological parents at all. It is impossible for Li Xiaoyu not to know her life and death, let alone whether she abandoned her biological parents and left her mother and father. After the Great Destruction, the wives and estranged, the tragedies of family ruin, there are too many tragedies. The parenting grace of Li's father and mother, and the grace of cultivating her to become a warrior, the grace is as heavy as a mountain, and the grace is as broad as the sea, they are Li Xiaoyu's biological parents. And Big Brother. So Big Brother isn't my pro-Big Brother. After Li Xiaoyu's mood stabilized, a different kind of feeling rose in his heart. The emotions I had for Li Kunlun in the past are like seeds that have broken through the permafrost and sprouts have emerged. No, now is not the time to be decadent. Only by working hard and practicing can we repay our parents and protect our Big Brother. Li Xiaoyu always thought that Li Kunlun was born with divine power. Now Li Kunlun is powerful, but his power will eventually run out. Li Xiaoyu has to become stronger than the current Li Kunlun, so that in the future, no matter what happens, he can better protect his family. In Li Xiaoyu's understanding, he mistakenly thought that Li Kunlun was comparable to a general, and could kill high-level beasts after all. But in fact, Li Kunlun has already killed the commander-level beast alone, on par with Wu Zun. Li Xiaoyu sat back on the futon, with 5 hearts in the sky, and continued to practice the guidance method of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. In the corners of her eyes, there were still traces of clear tears slipping through, but now the expression on her face was only perseverance. The night is cold as water. No one knew that Zhongcheng was silently undergoing a terrifying mutation. This kind of mutation finally accumulates in quantity, and begins to explode towards quality. A staff member of the Zhongcheng base city's defensive barriers, returning home. Wife, what are you doing? He put down his work bag and ID card, and saw his wife, wearing pajamas, walking over. You haven't been back for a few days, do you miss me? The staff unbuttoned the shirt at the neck and hugged his wife. At this time, his wife opened her mouth, and a string of red nematode-like monsters rushed out and got into the staff's mouth. The staff twitched their limbs, fell to the ground, rolled their eyes, and spit. After a while, the staff who foamed at the mouth stood up in an unnatural arc. He and his wife looked at each other, then walked to the table and pulled out the work card and ID card in the jacket. After flipping through the front and back, he said stiffly, "The time, ripe. The plan. Can begin." After a few words, the staff member's language became more and more smooth, and his behavior became more normal. His wife smiled and said, "Everything is for the king." The staff put down the work card and said, "Everything is for the king." At this moment, many people in Zhongcheng base city stopped their busy work, looked up at the sky, and said invariably, "Everything is for the king." Li Kunlun was lying on the bed, turned on his phone, and flipped through the warrior forum. Going straight to the topic tonight, that is, bye. Li Kunlun clicked on the magic weapon section and directly purchased 2 sets of combat uniforms of the God of War model. Ding. 160 million spent. 10 chi condensation pills, 40 million are gone. Before buying anything, Li Kunlun's huge sum of 1.3 billion has been successfully spent 200 million. However, Li Kunlun is like a rich man, without the slightest feeling of distress. It's not that there is no money, full payment, and no pressure. It's just the soul crystal of a commander-level beast. Lee Kunlun also customized 12 flying knives made of crow's new metal, and the 600 million is gone. A thunder heavenly horn sword made from the single horn of the commander-level ferocious beast thundering heavenly horse, 300 million. Then, Lee Kunlun also bought an armored pickup truck to carry the beasts, and spent another 50 million. Is 1.3 billion a lot? Lee Kunlun can proudly say that in half an hour, he has spent 1.15 billion. I can't buy it anymore. I have to save some money to buy a big flat mansion tomorrow. 1.3 billion, only 150 million left. If he buys more, Lee Kunlun is afraid that he will not have enough money to buy a house tomorrow. Okay, a few days ago, I really wanted to buy a lot at the Martial Artist Forum, and now I have finally fulfilled this wish. After Lee Kunlun placed the order anonymously, the money was paid in one lump sum. By the way, you can hang up another quest on the Warrior Forum to see if you can find the lighthouse jellyfish. The lighthouse jellyfish is a small jellyfish. The body is bell-shaped, with a diameter of about 4 to 5 m. The body is transparent, and the red digestive system can be seen, which is like a lighthouse, hence the name. Seemingly ordinary. In fact, the lighthouse jellyfish can mature and reproduce, and the individual will return to the polyp type. Moreover, this process is theoretically unlimited times. Thus, lighthouse jellyfish can acquire an infinite lifespan through repeated normal reproduction and transdifferentiation. Therefore, it is also called the jellyfish of immortality. More precisely, it should be rejuvenation. Why does life die? Because after metabolism, cells age and die. If you can come into contact with the lighthouse jellyfish and let the cells evolve, Lee Kunlun can live forever without having to ask the immortals in the novel, and the life essence is endless. Water bears have tenacious vitality and strong cellular adaptability. The lighthouse jellyfish can be rejuvenated, theoretically immortal, but will be killed. If you combine the water bear and the lighthouse jellyfish, it will not be a fantasy. Lee Kunlun posted the search for the lighthouse jellyfish. Lighthouse jellyfish are mainly distributed in the waters of the Carib region, but not in the seas of the Yan Kingdom. Whether you can find it or not depends on luck. There are more beasts in the ocean, even more ferocious than those in the mainland. If no one replies to the post, Lee Kunlun decides to wait a bit stronger and go to the Sea of Caleb himself to find the lighthouse jellyfish. The cell properties of immortality must be obtained. The next day, Mother Lee prepared fried dough sticks, soy milk, eggs, and pot stickers for breakfast, and asked Lee Kunlun and Li Xiaoyu to get up. When Father Li and Mother Li saw Li Xiaoyu, they were still a little nervous and apprehensive. The couple didn't get a good night's sleep last night. Li Xiaoyu walked out of the room wearing loose training clothes with a middle ponytail. Seeing Lee Kunlun, Li's father and Li's mother, they said hello as if nothing had happened. Mom and Dad, good morning. Morning, big brother. Early morning. Father Li and Mother Li smiled and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, the Li couple was really afraid that the daughter they had raised and cultivated for so many years would suddenly leave them. Okay, let's eat, the soy milk fritters are going to be cold. Lee Kunlun sat on the table and picked up his chopsticks. After breakfast, Li's father and Li's mother went to work. Li Xiaoyu went to the Thunder Martial Arts Hall to select martial arts. After becoming a martial artist, members of the Thunder Martial Arts Academy can choose a martial skill below grade B in the arsenal for free. If you want to choose martial arts in the future, you need to contribute points to the Thunder Martial Arts Museum. After the family left, Lee Kunlun changed his clothes and went out, heading straight to Zhongcheng Yipan, a high-end residential area in Baikeng District. This Zhongcheng first-class mansion is also the one that Lee Kunlun inquired about from Xi'an Liner. There is not only a swimming pool, but also a Zen training room, as well as a metal-reinforced martial arts room. Under the leadership of Beauty Sales, Lee Kunlun saw a few sets of Zhongcheng's products that are still on sale. In the end, Lee Kunlun took a fancy to a duplex building with a total of more than 600 square meters on the upper and lower floors, giving away a large parking space and an infinity swimming pool, with a total price of 145 million after tax. A family of 4 living in a mansion of 600 square meters is definitely more than enough. More importantly, this unit includes a training room, a martial arts room, and a swimming pool, so the living area will not appear too spacious. After Li Kunlun took a fancy to it, he paid 145 million directly by swiping his card. Sir, there are still some follow-up questions behind the house, you can continue to contact me. Beauty Sales added a contact to Li Kunlun and winked at him. Okay, when will I be in charge? Li Kunlun glanced at the top one-step skirt and white shirt of the beauty salesman, and asked indifferently. Mr. Li, this house has been fully renovated, and you can move in at any time. If there is any problem with Mr. You may try to sleep for a night tonight, and I can also stay in order to get feedback from Mr. in time. The beauty salesman's eyes flowed, looking at Li Kunlun with affection. Li Kunlun. 3 days later, Li Kunlun drove an armored pickup truck in green camouflage to the exit of the defensive barriers in Dongcheng district. Unlike the last time out of town, this time, Li Kunlun changed into a black-based Ares combat uniform. In the scabbard of the arm, thigh, etc., there are a mouthful of chrome metal flying knives. In the co-pilot position of the armored pickup truck, there was also a young and beautiful girl with a ponytail tied behind her head. She was also wearing a battle uniform for the god of war, with a delicate white long sword pinned to her waist, with a hilt like a spiral horn. It is the Thunder Sky Horn sword worth 300 million Yan national coins. Big brother, did we get to the hunting area after passing the inspection in the fort? Li Xiaoyu was a little excited and nervous. Except for the first official martial artist exam, she left Zhongcheng base city, went to the beast town, and fought with low-level beasts. After so many days, it was the first time that Li Xiaoyu really went out of Zhongcheng base city to hunt beasts in the hunting area as a warrior. Don't worry, the beasts in the hunting area are similar to those in the beast town, they are very weak. Our goal today is to hunt down 3 intermediate level beasts and go back. Li Kunlun held the steering wheel and said to his sister. It's too far to go to no man's land. Today, Li Kunlun mainly intends to take Li Xiaoyu to hunt down intermediate level beasts, sharpen her fighting methods, and accumulate fighting experience. The second time out of the city, Li Kunlun drove his armored pickup truck with ease, followed slowly, and passed through the defensive barriers. After leaving Zhongcheng, he had to cross the river before he could officially enter the hunting area. Seeing the ruins of the city on the other side of the river, Li Xiaoyu took a deep breath and was stunned by the dilapidated gray. Many hunting teams parted ways after crossing the river crossing bridge. Li Kunlun drove to the border of Zhongcheng's hunting area and no man's land, and went hunting there. Close to the no man's land, the level of the beast is higher. Big brother, can humans really defeat all the beasts and take back our territory? Seeing the dilapidated shops, street lamps, and streets that kept going backwards outside the window, Li Xiaoyu asked in a low voice. Must be able to. It is impossible for a beast to trap a human in a cage forever. Li Kunlun said firmly. Li Kunlun braked suddenly and said to Li Xiaoyu, let's start. In the old residential building on your left, there is a middle-level beast and 4 low-level beasts. Li Kunlun's thermal induction can clearly detect the biological energy coming from the building. But what kind of beast the other party was, Li Kunlun couldn't infer just based on the heat released. Li Xiaoyu opened the car door, resolutely turned around and walked into the old residential building, and pulled out her Thunder Sky Horn sword. After a while, the news of the battle came from the old residential building. Li Kunlun turned his head and glanced. In the dimly lit building, which has long been devoid of electric lights, a blue light flashes from time to time. That was Li Xiaoyu's sword energy. She has practiced the B-level martial arts Fengling Thunderstorm sword. The sweeping sword is like a wind blade and a tiger roars, and the stabbing sword is like thunder piercing through. About 10 or 20 minutes passed, accompanied by a sharp murmur of thousands of birds chirping, the fighting inside stopped. Not long after, the blood-stained Li Xiaoyu walked out of the building alone, carrying the severed claws, fangs and fur. There are several rotten dogs and a 3-toed mastiff inside. Li Xiaoyu threw the claws and fur of the 3-toed mastiff onto the pickup, covered it with a waterproof cloth, and got into the car. Li Kunlun took out the handkerchief and handed it to Li Xiaoyu, asking her to wipe the blood on her body. That's right, I hunted down 1 mid-level beast and 3 low-level beasts by myself, Li Kunlun praised. Of the 4 low-level vicious beasts, 1 low-level vicious beast escaped. Li Xiaoyu was fighting with the 3-toothed mastiff, an intermediate-level beast, and Wuxia chased and killed the rotten dog. However, the rotten dog is of no value. If its strength is weak, it will run away. It doesn't matter. Go to the next place. Li Kunlun stepped on the accelerator and continued to take his sister to hunt the beasts. Call out. Without the slightest sound, several metal flying knives in Li Kunlun's scabbard flew out, passed through the car window, speeding up in vain, and circled around the outer wall of the building next to him. Soon, the metal flying knife returned to its sheath. On the outer wall of that building, a colorful gecko about the size of a car appeared and clawed on the wall. Advanced vicious beast, mimicking the colorful monitor lizard. Li Xiaoyu, who was sitting in the co-pilot, exclaimed. Only then did she see the mimetic colorful monitor lizard clinging to the wall in front of her. The mimetic colorful monitor lizard was motionless. When Li Kunlun drove the car nearby, the huge lizard crawling on the outer wall split into 4 or 5 pieces and fell to the ground. When did it die? Li Xiaoyu was surprised again. Li Kunlun parked the car and walked over. The mimic colorful monitor lizard has the ability to imitate perfectly, and then hunt other humans with sneak attacks. Its strength is not that strong, and it can be rated as a high-level beast entirely because of its mimicry skills. Li Kunlun took out the metal throwing knife and began to peel off the skin of the mimetic colorful monitor lizard. Ding! The host contacts the mimetic colorful monitor lizard, the cells evolve, and the ability perfect mimesis is acquired. The system prompt sounded in Li Kunlun's mind. With perfect mimicry, Li Kunlun is equivalent to mastering the ability to be invisible. Li Xiaoyu also got out of the car and came over to help his big brother peel the leather of the mimetic colorful monitor lizard. I've also heard that the leather of the mimetic colorful monitor lizard is very valuable. Many scientific research institutions have bought to study the skin of the mimetic colorful monitor lizards, and want to make invisible combat suits. But as far as the effect is concerned, it seems that the combat uniforms made directly from the skin of the mimetic colorful monitor lizards are not as easy to use. So, on the market, a piece of leather that mimics a colorful monitor lizard can be sold for hundreds of thousands of yuan national coins. Li Xiaoyu estimated the skin of the entire mimicking colorful monitor lizard in front of him, and Cherry's small mouth slowly opened round. It is estimated that the hides of these mimetic colorful monitor lizards can be sold for 10 million. Li Kunlun replied. 10 million. Li Xiaoyu's bright eyes showed the pattern of gold coins. Just a little money. Li Kunlun said calmly. 10 million. At most, figure it out to make some extra money. Li Xiaoyu didn't even know that the God of War uniform on her body was worth 80 million yuan national currency. The Thunder Sky Horn sword in his hand is worth 300 million yuan national coins. Yo, isn't this the Li family sisters who came first in the official martial artist exam? A playful voice sounded. Li Xiaoyu turned his head to look and saw 2 armored pickup trucks driving on the road behind. A well-mannered young man stuck his head out of the window of the passenger cab and said to Li Kunlun and Li Xiaoyu. Chao Tianlong. Li Xiaoyu's face sank. The warriors on the armored pickup truck whistled. Chao Tianlong smiled and said, this mimetic colorful monitor lizard is mine, you two, get out of here. Li Xiaoyu's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. Although it is said that the Warrior Association expressly stipulates that private fights and killings between warriors are prohibited. But this is a hunting area, a barren area beyond the reach of human civilization. In the hunting zone, there are only the most primitive laws. The so-called people die for wealth, and birds die for food. In the era of chaotic beasts, money can make a warrior grow rapidly and become stronger. Therefore, it is not unheard of in the hunting area to kill people and steal goods. Anyway, there is no monitoring here, and no evidence can be provided. 10 million is enough to make Chao Tianlong and the others excited. Li Xiaoyu glanced at them. This is the hunting team of Zhongcheng Base City's Zhonglong Martial Arts Hall. A Chao Tianlong is fearless. But in this dragon-subduing hunting team, there are still 7 official warriors, 3 warriors, and a large number of hot weapons. 2 armored pickup trucks, the main driver, the co-pilot, the back row, and the topless cargo box of the pickup truck, were all standing. Li Xiaoyu's face turned pale when he saw the tall and thin middle-aged man sitting beside Chao Tianlong. The other party wears a golden medal, which means that he is a Wuzong. Wuzong, the meaning of the master of martial arts. On behalf of the opponent, Whether it is martial skills, experience, or even the chi in the body, there is a considerable accumulation. Far from being comparable to martial artists and martial artists. Brother, let's go, life is important. Li Xiaoyu tugged at Li Kunlun's arm. Like no one else, Li Kunlun is still dissecting the scales of the mimetic giant lizards. Chao Tianlong smiled, lowered his head and rubbed his fingers, and said disdainfully, "You don't eat and drink for a toast, right?" He suddenly took out a gun and shot at Li Kunlun's feet. "Hey, don't think that you will be proud of yourself in the official martial artist exam, and you will be proud of yourself if you get the first place. Chao Tianlong, you are going too far." Li Xiaoyusheng glared angrily, clenched his fists, and pulled out the Thunder Heavenly Horn sword at once. Li Xiaoyu was angry, her heart was burning with anger, and she didn't have the sobriety she had before. You can bully her, but you can't bully her brother. Excessive. Chao Tianlong twitched the corner of his mouth, stretched his hand out of the car window, and slapped the roof of the car. Come on, brothers, tell this little girl what is too much. With a flirtatious whistle, the team standing on the topless crate pointed Vulcan Gatling at Li Kunlun. One of the yellow-haired team members said with a wicked smile, "Master, why don't we kill the man and keep the woman, and have a good time?" That's right, I think this woman looks really watery, it's a pity she doesn't sleep. The little hooves of the dragon subduing martial arts hall are not as good looking, not as good as a single hair of hers. Facing the foul language of the warriors of the dragon subduing hunting team, Li Xiaoyu gritted his teeth, and his eyes were about to burst into flames. But seeing Gatlin, the god of fire, who was aiming at her brother, Li Xiaoyu swallowed her anger and said, "Chao Tianlong, we have nothing to do with you, right? Why be aggressive? It's not a good idea to break up the enemy. This mimetic colorful monitor lizard belongs to you. My brother and I will leave now," and nothing happened. By the way, I'm from the Thunder Martial Arts Academy, I believe you don't want to offend the Thunder Martial Arts Academy, right? Li Xiaoyu had no choice but to move out the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. Thunder Martial Arts. Chao Tianlong turned his head to look at the tall and thin middle-aged Wuzong, and asked, "Uncle Pan, is the Thunder Martial Arts Hall useful in the hunting area?" Uncle Pan shook his head. No matter how powerful the Thunder Martial Arts Center is, you still can't reach the hunting area. You should not use the Thunder Martial Arts Hall to press me. If you have the ability, call the Thunder Martial Arts Hall to see if anyone comes to rescue you. The expression on Chao Tianlong's face was full of arrogance and arrogance. You, Li Xiaoyu bit blood from the corner of his mouth. She never thought that Chao Tianlong was such a person. Compared with the official martial artist exam, when they were in the town of beasts, they were completely different. Chao Tianlong showed a wicked smile and said, "Let your brother kneel beside me and beg me, so you can serve me. If I am comfortable and satisfied, I will naturally let you go." Chao Tianlong, you are too much. Li Xiaoyu was so embarrassed that she was about to scold Li Kunlun, who had been lowering her head to dissect the mimetic colorful monitor lizard, and finally finished her work. He stood up, suddenly turned around and threw a crow-metal flying knife in his hand. The flying knife shot out, turned into a cold light that cut through the space, and stabbed into the cab at once. In the cab, blood splatters. The mighty, arrogant and domineering Chao Tianlong let out a shrill scream. Li Kunlun's crow-metal flying knife just stabbed Chao Tianlong's shoulder blade and nailed it to the driver's seat. Dragon. Uncle Pan was startled and quickly checked Chao Tianlong's wound. The flying knife just now was too fast and too sudden. Coupled with the angle of view, Uncle Pan didn't see the arrival of the flying knife at all. You wanna die. Uncle Pan was furious, and the infuriating energy in his body exploded, shattering the glass of the cab, and all cobweb cracks appeared. Li Kunlun scratched his ears, and said with a look of disgust, "It's really noisy just beside me." Chao Tianlong leaned against the seat, the blue veins on his forehead jumped violently, and roared angrily, "Kill both men and women, and leave no one behind. Dare to attack the young master and kill them for me. Eat my Vulcan Gatling. Fire and sieve them all." The warrior standing on the armored pickup truck immediately controlled Gatling, the god of fire, and started furious firepower. Under the rotation of the barrel of Vulcan Gatling, he began to frantically shoot bullets, and the muzzle spit out a fierce blue fire. Bang bang bang. The six-barreled machine gun fired a hail of bullets and shot directly at it. This is Vulcan Gatling, a terrifyingly hot weapon capable of pouring 3,000 rounds per minute. Under normal circumstances, even if there is a martial artist, facing a Vulcan Gatling will be frightened, and there is no way to deal with it. Not to mention martial arts, Wuzong is a bit boring. Of course, Vulcan Gatling also consumes too much ammo. Every bullet is money. The dragon subduing hunting team brought a Vulcan Gatling, just the ammo chain, in the topless cargo box of the armored pickup truck, a small pile. Such firepower makes them not afraid even if they encounter a dozen or 20 low-level vicious beasts. Unfortunately, they met Li Kunlun. Li Kunlun who can control metal. Li Kunlun raised a palm when hundreds of bullets swept in front of him and his sister. Suddenly, all the yellow and orange bullets stopped in front of Li Kunlun. The bullets at the back were shot one after the other. But when they got to Li Kunlun, the bullets, without exception, were suspended in midair. In the blink of an eye, Li Kunlun was full of bullets, forming a dense barrage. How is this going? Is there still such a practice in the world? Protecting body chi? No, it's not like, and a formal martial artist, why does he have body shielding chi? 5. The team members who rode Gatling, the god of fire, were dumbfounded. The other warriors of the dragon subduing martial arts hall also reacted similarly. What firepower does Vulcan Gatling have? It was blocked just like that. The scene in front of them was somewhat beyond their knowledge. Go! Li Kunlun flicked his finger, and in the dense barrage of bullets suspended in front of him, a bullet shot out immediately, piercing the eyebrows of the team members who rode Vulcan Gatling. The official martial artist fell with his head up and died directly. Li Kunlun said indifferently. In the hunting area, people who want to make money often kill people. You can't be merciful when faced with such a thing, understand? He turned his head to look at the arrogant dragon subduing hunting team, with a sarcastic smile on the corner of his mouth. In the hunting area, we have to deal not only with beasts, but also with this group of scumbags. Li Xiaoyu understood, immediately drew out his sword, and rushed towards the warriors on the armored pickup truck. Another warrior drew a gun and wanted to shoot Li Xiaoyu, but Li Xiaoyu stepped on his feet and changed his body to avoid it. Some hot weapons such as pistols, as long as they are not machine guns, Vulcan Gatling and the like, are much less threatening to the martial artist. Not a martial artist is faster than a bullet. Instead, they can make predictions based on the posture and angle of the person holding the gun. Dodge the bullet in advance when you pull the trigger. Autumn Wind Sword Chi. Li Xiaoyu raised his hand and waved his sword, and a sword chi flew out, cutting off the opponent's arm. The arm fell to the ground, and the martial artist who shot the gun let out a scream, while Li Xiaoyu held back the discomfort and stabbed with a sword. Chong. Lightning and thunder, a sword seals the throat. Kill, destroy this mother-in-law. Let's do it together. Some people took out the shotguns behind their backs, while others drew their swords. Don't use a gun in front of me, okay. Li Kunlun walked forward, and the dense bullets suspended in the air automatically separated to both sides, forming a road. With one move in his palm, all guns, such as pistols, shotguns, and machine guns, broke free from the hands of the warriors and flew behind Li Kunlun. Evil sect, why did my gun fly away? Qian Hao Jiao. My gun flew away too. What kind of martial arts does this person practice? It's too weird. The warriors of the dragon subduing hunting team were shocked and angry. And Li Xiaoyu, whose movement was like a dragon, took advantage of the distraction of everyone, and stabbed them with sword after sword, reaping their lives. Could it be Yuan magnetic divine art? Uncle Pan got out of the car with a solemn expression. Magnetic power. Li Kunlun smiled. Take it as Yuan magnetic magic. Uncle Pan stretched out his hands and began to mobilize the strong infuriating energy in his body, rushing out like a rushing ocean. I don't care what kind of weird martial arts you practice, anyway, against the dragon subduing martial arts center, you have no choice but to die. Uncle Pan gave a loud shout, clasped his claws with both hands, grabbed left and right up and down, then folded them together, and slammed his palms forward. 17 palms to subdue the dragon has no regrets. Just listening to the "ang" sound of a dragon, Uncle Pan's palm was strong and surging, and his true energy was condensed, forming small golden dragons that sprout from Uncle Pan's palm. In an instant, flying sand and stone, slamming the wind, and slamming into Li Kunlun with overwhelming force. Uncle Pan closed his palm confidently. He is extremely confident in the magic of the dragon subduing martial arts hall. You are also worthy of being called the dragon subduing 17 palms, Shenlong Wuhui. Then my palm is called Boundless Sea. Li Kunlun raised his hand and slapped it, but it was pure power without any real energy. More than a dozen golden dragons were blown away by the pure palm wind that Li Kunlun slapped out. Pan Lao, who was in the realm of Wuzong, couldn't resist Li Kunlun's palm, and flew out backwards, hitting the wall with boom. You can see that there is a huge palm print in the depression on the outer wall of that building. Pan Lao is embedded in the pit of the palm print, the kind that can't be buckled. Quote. Pan Lao opened his mouth and vomited blood, trying to climb out of the pit, and said with a free breath, I'm not dead yet. Then trouble you to die. Li Kunlun grabbed it with another slap. The overwhelming palm wind pushed it horizontally and slammed into the palm print of the building. Boom. This time, the palm of the building was sunk, and it was beaten until the front and back were transparent, turning into a huge palm-shaped hole. The gravel rustled and fell, and Pan Lao couldn't die any longer. At this time, Li Xiaoyu was besieged by several martial masters, falling behind and falling into crisis frequently. Li Kunlun frowned. He had the intention to sharpen Li Xiaoyu, but he didn't mean to let his sister die. Take the way of the person, and treat the person's body. With a wave of Li Kunlun's palm, most of the bullets suspended in midair poured out. In an instant, this hail of bullets killed the remaining warriors, as well as one warrior. The remaining 2 martial artists are fighting with Li Xiaoyu. When they saw this, they were terrified. This is not a formal martial artist, it is simply stronger than a military general. Killing a martial sect casually is like pinching an ant to death. Escape. The 2 warriors no longer had the will to fight, turned their heads and fled separately. Did I let you escape? Li Kunlun thought, and all the remaining bullets shot out, killing the 2 warriors. In a few minutes, only Chao Tianlong was left alive in the dragon-subduing hunting team. In the cab, Chao Tianlong reluctantly pulled out the flying knife that pierced his shoulder, ignited and stepped on the accelerator, trying to escape in an armored pickup truck. Monster. He's a monster. Chao Tianlong's face turned pale, and he stepped on the accelerator with one foot. But soon, he found that his car hadn't moved forward at all, even if the accelerator was booming and the tachometer soared. How come my car is floating in the air? Chao Tianlong found the problem. It turned out that his entire car was suspended in the air. The wheels of the armored pickup truck are turning frantically, but in the air, how can they run? Li Kunlun tugged at the palm of his hand, and with a bang sound, the door of the cab was violently torn down and flew out. The armored pickup truck tilted and poured out Chao Tianlong, who was hiding in the cab. Chao Tianlong fell to the ground, his face hit the ground, and he ate a mouthful of dirt. Li Kunlun flicked his finger, and a crow-metal flying knife flew out, stabbing Chao Tianlong on the thigh. What? Chao Tianlong screamed bitterly and hugged his thigh. How arrogant he was just now, how miserable he is now. Li Kunlun flicked his finger, and another crow-metal flying knife shot out, stabbing Chao Tianlong's calf. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The crow-metal flying knives flew out one after another, all of them stabbing Chao Tianlong's body with precision. Chao Tianlong screamed again and again, hysterically, my grandfather is the owner of the dragon-subduing martial arts hall, a powerful half-step martial artist. You can't kill me, you can't kill me. Don't kill you. Li Kunlun smiled, turned his head and asked Li Xiaoyu, Sister, is the dragon-subduing martial arts hall useful in the hunting area? Li Xiaoyu raised his eyebrows and said loudly, it's useless. The Thunder Martial Arts Hall is useless, the Dragon-subduing martial arts hall is nothing. Li Kunlun looked at Chao Tianlong, and said sarcastically, no matter how powerful the Dragon-subduing martial arts center is, you still can't reach the hunting area, so don't take the Dragon-subduing martial arts center and press me down. If you have the ability, call your grandfather and see if your grandfather can come to save you. Don't talk about your grandfather, even if the King of Heaven comes, he can't save you. Chao Tianlong's intestines were all regretful. He was slapped in the face by what he said, and he was the kind that could lose his life. Li Kunlun shook his head and said, well, since we are the same batch of candidates, you kneel on the ground and beg me, if I soften, maybe I can. Before Li Kunlun finished speaking, Chao Tianlong reluctantly knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Please, let me go. As long as you let me go, when I return to the dragon subduing martial arts hall, you will definitely reward me. A thick report, Li Kunlun sneered. Repayment, or revenge. It's a pity, I don't believe a word of yours, it's better to die. Li Kunlun snapped his fingers. The guns floating around immediately aimed at Chao Tianlong. No, no, Chao Tianlong showed a look of horror. Just now, he told the warriors in his martial arts hall to aim their guns at Li Kunlun and Li Xiaoyu. Now, in response to the reincarnation, Chao Tianlong himself was being pointed at by guns. No, 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 you can't do this. Chao Tianlong quickly raised a communication watch on his wrist and said, I have photographed your appearance and sent it to my grandfather. If you dare to kill me, my grandfather will never let you go, nor your family. Chao Tianlong screamed with a grim face. Responding to Chao Tianlong, it was Li Kunlun's expressionless face, his eyes gleaming with murderous intent. Without the slightest bit of femininity, Li Kunlun pulled the trigger on all guns. Boom, boom, boom. The gunfire was heaving, and bullets hit Chao Tianlong, turning him into a sieve. Chao Tianlong's combat uniform was good, but he couldn't hold so many bullets. What's more, his combat uniform has been pierced and torn by Li Kunlun's crow-metal flying knife. After a while, Chao Tianlong was too dead to die. Guns with empty magazines fell to the ground one after another. Li Xiaoyu stood on the spot, and immediately ran to the corner and retched. Li Kunlun walked over and patted Li Xiaoyu on the back, comforting, Are you all right? Li Xiaoyu wiped the bitter water from the corner of his mouth, shook his head and said, Brother, aha, I don't mind, just wait a moment. In fact, Li Kunlun intends to sharpen her. Otherwise, Li Kunlun would be able to kill everyone in the dragon-subduing hunting team the moment Chao Tianlong opened his mouth to force Lai Lai. Li Kunlun worried that Li Xiaoyu had a shadow in his heart, and said in a deep voice, Chao Tianlong is selfish and arrogant, and doesn't take other people's lives seriously. As early as in the murderer's town, I suspected that he was writing a bad check and attracting others to be cannon fodder for him. Now that I meet in the hunting area, Chao Tianlong shows his true nature unabashedly, arrogant, greedy, and twisted. If this person does not kill, it will only harm more people. Li Xiaoyu nodded. Li Xiaoyu understood what her brother said, and kept it firmly in his heart. Li Kunlun said, Let's go, let's see what kind of beasts Chao Tianlong and the others hunted, and then you put the spoils on the car, don't waste it. If you are in danger, you can use Gatling, the god of fire, even if it is a high-level beast, you will be afraid of 3 points. Li Xiaoyu asked suspiciously, Then what are you going to do, brother? Li Kunlun looked up at the sky and left a faint sentence. Cut down the weeds. Boom. Before he finished speaking, Li Kunlun soared into the sky and flew into the sky in an instant. The wind and thunder double emperor mode was turned on, Li Kunlun disappeared in the sky and flew towards Zhongcheng again. At the same time, Li Kunlun has entered a state of perfect mimicry, blending with the blue sky and invisible to others. Zhongcheng Base City, Dongcheng District, Defensive Barriers, Command Headquarters. Luo Dongyang, one of the 4 major towns and cities, suddenly opened his eyes, and his eyes were full of fire. There is a great master who forcibly broke into Zhongcheng. This breath is not a beast. Since he was a human, Luo Dongyang ignored it and closed his eyes again. After all, the dragon-subduing martial arts hall also had a martial lord, and in its heyday, it even completely overshadowed the edge of other forces in the Zhongcheng Base City. Even if the sun sets in the west of the mountain, Zhonglong Wugwan is still located in the prime area of Zhongcheng, on the top floor of a high-end office building. The owner's lounge, a 200 square meter tatami space with a whole face of floor-to-ceiling windows, can enjoy the invincible city view. A sturdy old man with a tattoo of a blue dragon on his back, leaning on the pillow halfway, was pinched by the female disciple's legs. He was smoking a pipe, and behind him was a huge screen of tigers descending the mountain. This person is the current owner of the dragon-subduing martial arts museum, Mr. Chao Sanye. Drip, 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 drip. Suddenly, the communicator of the third master Chao made a rapid sound. It's Tianlong's grandson's distress call. Third master Chao was shocked and quickly opened the communicator to check. No matter how powerful the dragon-subduing martial arts center is, you still can't reach the hunting area, so don't take the dragon subduing martial arts center and press me down. If you have the ability, call your grandfather and see if your grandfather can come to save you. Don't talk about your grandfather, even if the King of Heaven comes, he can't save you. First, a dialogue came out, followed by a photo of Li Kunlun. When Chao Sanye saw Li Kunlun's photo and heard Li Kunlun's arrogant and domineering words, his eyes were bloodshot with anger, and he almost squeezed the communicator with one hand. Good. No matter how powerful a good dragon subduing martial arts hall is, you still can't reach the hunting area. Don't talk about your grandfather, I can't save you even if I come here. Third Master Chao was extremely sad and angry, and laughed 3 times. Come here, find out the information about this person immediately, I will not only kill him, but also kill his whole family, come and avenge my grandson. Soon, Chao Sanye summoned the senior management of the Dragon Subduing Martial Arts Hall. The identity of Li Kunlun was also investigated. Just a formal martial artist. Seeing the information, Mr. Chao, who was furious, was still stunned for a moment. I can't believe how a mere official martial artist killed Chao Tianlong and a hunting team for subduing dragons. It doesn't matter, no matter what secrets you have behind your back, you will become a dead person. Your sister will die because of you. Your parents will die because of you. Your whole family will be buried with my grandson. Third Master Chao angrily squeezed the communicator with one hand. Are you looking for me? At this moment, an indifferent voice echoed in the hall owner's lounge. With a bang, the door of the Pure Copper lounge closed. A young man appeared out of thin air on the tatami with the same appearance as Li Kunlun in the photo. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.